Everybody, it's 7 o'clock and I'd like to call together the October 23rd, 2025 school committee meeting. If you would please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Tonight we have our consent agenda posted, which contain the minutes from the October 9th, 2025 meeting, as well as the oath to bills and payroll. Everybody have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Good. Our motion to accept.
I move that we accept the consent agenda. I second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mark that as unanimous. So first opportunity for interested citizens. So if there's anybody in the room or on Zoom that would like to speak before the school committee, it's your first chance, second chance, towards the back half of the meeting. Done right now. Give it 1 second. All right. Hearing from no one, we'll close the first portion of first citizens and we'll move into our recognition report. Kavya, with us this evening, will provide the student representative report.
Good evening, everyone. Here are the reports from the schools. Shaker Lane. Last Friday, Shaker Lane had their fun run event, raising over $46,000. These funds will be used for student-sponsored events such as field trips and classroom needs. A special thank you to Anne Spiegel, who spearheaded this event, as well as all of the families and staff who helped make this fun run an unbelievable experience. Next Friday will be another memorable event with Shaker Lane's annual Halloween parade. They look forward to parading around the school for family and friends to see their Halloween costumes. Next is Russell Street. Russell Street students have their first stripe assembly tomorrow, October 24th. The names of our 3D printers will be revealed during the assembly. 4th and 5th grade students took their learning off campus. 5th graders explored the burying grounds in town, and 4th graders visited the Discovery Museum. We hope to see as many families as possible at the Shaker Lane/Russell Street Cultural Fair on November 5th at Shaker Lane School. The middle school will have their Halloween dance tomorrow for 7th and 8th graders. Next, moving on to the high school. On Thursday, October 16th, Model UN and Drama Club hosted a lip sync fundraiser event. There was great participation by both students and, of course, everyone's favorite, the staff number, Having a Good Time by Queen. The first place winners are Emily Drew and Mac LaFlamme performing Vogue. Second place winners are Lucas Wright and Carolyn Nash performing Pink Pony Club. Third place winners are Morgan Chabot and Eve Hyder performing Beauty and the Beat, and an honorable mention to Emily Shocklin, William Tess, and Lainey McManus for performing I'm Just Ken. LHS football won their homecoming football game against Murdoch 42-0 on Friday, October 17th. The day after, the student council hosted the homecoming dance on Saturday night, which was well attended, and they enjoyed the new DJ this year. The students from Spain went to the homecoming game on Friday and the dance on Saturday. They attended classes at LHS for 2 days and presented to Mrs. Gillen's students about life in Spain and school and Valladolid. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Student representative report?
We just have one thing to add so yesterday I headed over to Shaker Lane for the Little Town Community Day, which is an annual event that second graders participate in, where they create a little community out of cardboard, and they represent different buildings, different parts of a community, and then they have to talk about what makes a community. So as I arrived, there was a cloud burst and all of this rain was coming down on the projects that were outside. Oh. So there's nothing like the smell of wet cardboard, right? And so they pulled everything in, they lined it up in the hallway. I was able to get into a second grade classroom and talk with them about their projects. And huge kudos to Heidi McGregor, who runs the Imaginatorium there at Shaker Lane. She taught the kids how to use all kinds of different engineering devices to create their cardboard structures, like hinges and flanges and slots, and it was incredible. She created some things on the 3D printer to give them some equipment for their construction. So it was a great day. It was too bad it was rained out, but it's an annual event. So hopefully next year we'll get to see it in its full glory. Awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
A lot of good stuff in that student representative report. I want to say kudos on the fun run. So I think I personally kind of like 9 Winterfest that then became Spring Fest, and an example of sort of reimagining what a fundraiser could be. Wildly successful. So the group that put that on, that's off. Congratulations, job well done. And interestingly enough, I was like out and about. So with my family, like I had family full of people in my family in the car, and I was like, let's swing up to the high school and just peek at this little homecoming dance. And I noticed the DJ was like, it looked like a nightclub in there from the outside. So it was funny that you mentioned that. I was like, wow, this looks pretty good. So yeah, a lot of good stuff going on the past couple of weeks. So thank you very much for the report. We did a little spying on the homecoming dance. Kelly, anything to add?
Just a couple of things. As you know, this is the our last meeting prior to the special town meeting next Tuesday night. And there's a lot of work that goes into setting up a town meeting. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our town technology department, LCTV, the town administration, town staff, Dan Corey. It takes some days to get ready for this town meeting, and this one's going to be a little larger than the others. So they've ordered, I can't remember how many, 700 or 800 extra clickers that they borrowed from other communities. So I met a technology technician from Groton that was over helping set up the clickers in the middle school cafeteria, and I just wanted to give them a shout out because it does take a lot of time, and our custodians set everything up and take it down. So we'll be ready for Tuesday evening. Just again, thanks to everybody involved in setting up this special town meeting. I'd also like to thank Annalise Tabor and Rob Rounce for Yes for Littleton. They have worked tirelessly for the past few years with us, promoting the Shaker Lane building project. They're at all of the events that we attend. They go to other events and set up a table, handing out information. And I'm just so appreciative of their advocacy and the time that they spent promoting a project that in my opinion, is going to help reshape our district and be a very powerful addition to our community as well. So, special thanks to them. We're on the home run stretch, so to speak, and hopefully before you know it, we'll be going back and still working on the project, but in a very different capacity. So, thanks again, Annalise and Rob.
Terrific. All right, we've got one piece of new business this evening, followed by a couple of presentations. Related topic. First order of new business is advocacy for the new Shaker Lane School. Superintendent Kelly Clenchey will lead the discussion amongst school committee members regarding advocacy efforts for the new Shaker Lane project.
And just to start off, I mean, thank you for everything that you've done to advocate for the project. I know you're out talking to people, and as we said last meeting when we were talking, it's important to let our community know that you need to be there to vote for the town meeting vote and also vote at the ballot vote. My experience for elections such as the one we're entering is you receive comments. I've received them during my career that, well, this is obvious. We know how to vote, and they just feel the vote is going to be carried because it's an obvious yes. And you can't take anything for granted. Everybody needs to get out there and vote and vote what they feel that is necessary for not only our school district but for our community as a whole. So I'd like to encourage anybody that's listening tonight. This is an important town meeting. All town meetings are important. Civic duty is important, and we spend a lot of time talking about civics obligations with our students right from elementary right up to high school. So I've always said it's important to lead by example. So we hope to see a packed auditorium and a packed cafeteria next Tuesday night. I'm thrilled to announce that we have 78 childcare students that will be looked after during the town meeting. I'd like to thank Dr. Snow and a number of teachers at Shaker Lane and a number of high school students as well, and Park and Rec for helping out during the evening. 78 is a pretty decent number of students to be able to look after. So we're excited about that. Cafeteria has around 22 students attending last time I looked. And we'll have stations set up around the perimeter of the cafeteria, so students can color and can keep busy during the town. So it's really nice to see everybody pull together and offer free childcare services to town meeting. Personally, this is something I hope that continues on, and we need to figure out ways to be able to get as many people out to town meetings as possible. And if you have young children, it's a tough thing to do. So the more we can do as a community to help out, well, I believe result in better participation in town meetings, especially next Tuesday and going forward. So with that, I'm just curious. I know I talked to Sean a lot. I know Sean's out there knocking on doors, talking to people, and I know Justin's doing the same thing. And Janine, I hear you've been knocking on doors and talking to people a lot as well. So I just wanted to give us an opportunity to rekindle what we've talked about. And are there any suggestions, last minute suggestions that maybe we need to consider? We have a few days, and then the canvassing, so to speak, or educating people on the issues and the needs of a new school will be asked.
I want to give
Janine.
Well, I wanted to reiterate and back up what you're saying about how important it is for people to actually get to town meeting. And the people I've talked to people, and it's people with young children, people who have a lot of skin in this game, and getting to town meeting is hard. And a lot of people that I've talked to have filled out that ballot that came to their house, and they mailed it in, and they're like, no, I'm good. I voted for the school. And, when I'm there face to face saying, but we need people to get to town meeting. And my fallback phrase is, we have to have a 2/3 majority, and that is a heavy lift. So to anyone that is there, we will not win this on a simple majority. We have to have 2/3 that vote yes for this to go through. That's a lot. So if you can, in any way, shape, or form, as we said, we have childcare now. We have all sorts of ways to help. Please, your body at town meeting is really important on Tuesday.
Well, and just to clarify too, if it does not pass at town meeting, then there would not be a vote on November 1st. Is that?
Oh, there are 2 votes.
a vote would take
No
place
matter
regardless.
It takes
It
place
takes place, but it
regardless.
doesn't matter. Like, we can't override a negative vote on Tuesday.
Right,
with a
so why
positive
would there
vote.
still be a vote on November 1st?
Rule.
Ballot's already printed.
Yes.
Ah.
And it also, if it doesn't pass Tuesday by a slim margin and it passes Saturday, it does give us an opportunity to potentially go back to the MSBA and negotiate for a second try at it. So
That's
Tuesday
really,
and
that's
Saturday
a-
are happening regardless of the outcome of the Tuesday night.
Yeah. That information is going to be really helpful to have. And there are opportunities, as long as we can show the MSBA that if they give us X number of days to come back for another vote, there's a good chance of success. And we need to give them something. As I mentioned at a meeting I was at, holidays is planned right now, but the money, the $30 million has been advocated for Middleton. The MSBA already has met, and they know where that money is going if that vote is a positive vote for us. So it's not as if that money is going to be sitting in a bank account for a while. There are so many needs in this state. There are a lot of people on that waiting list, and they're going to do what they need to do to reach as many communities as possible. So.
Well, and the other thing I've been thinking about is, if the opportunity presents itself to go up to the mic at town meeting, I'm doing some deep thinking about why this project is important to me personally. that, maybe my lens of looking at this may be different from some other people's. It might give somebody a different way of thinking about it, but it might be good for us all to do some thinking about us personally. What is the most compelling argument that we would want to raise if the chance comes to get up to the microphone?
I think also, I think you said at one point that it was about roughly 15% of school districts applying get the MSBA grant. It's a very low number,
Extremely low.
extremely low. So we got this, we got to push forward with it. It's a 10-year process if we have to do it over again. This is something we need.
And I mean, the cost escalation of the new Shaker Lane School in 10 years, and I actually believe 10 years is probably not reality in my experience. I would venture to guess it'll be 15. MSB has invested money in this project, and they're a great organization. They've helped many districts across this state, but if they're going to commit to something, they want to make sure that there's a good chance of it going through. And so if you look at 15 years down the road, the project will more than double. Plus, one also has to consider the other money that's going to be required to put into whatever scenario to keep our students educated. And I'm not positive as your superintendent that that's going to happen within Shaker School in the next 10 years or 8 years. I mean, there's so much that's unknown, and every dollar that we spend as a result of trying to keep the school going or bringing modulars in is not getting what we need to educate our youngest learners in our community. And I think there's a point that we really need to drive home. We're a high-performing district as a community, as a staff. Students, families have all worked so hard to get us in this position. And we all know that education begins the minute our youngest learners enter a school building. That's where that initial foundation begins. So this is a super important vote. I'm just, I'm so proud of everybody. We've done our due diligence. I mean, we've gone through the data. We've worked with MSBA, and the only feasible option that I could recommend as a superintendent is to build a new school. All of the other options aren't going to take care of the challenges that we currently have, and those challenges are going to get greater as time goes on.
Well, I was going to say, I think something that's come to light recently is the idea that, it won't just be the youngest learners that will be impacted by this. There's a likelihood that you can't really put kindergartners in modular, right? It can be very difficult to do, especially in the winter. So this is something that's going to impact all students regardless of age. I don't know how it's exactly going to unfold, but I don't want people to think that my kid's in sophomore year, so I don't have to worry about this. It's going to impact all kids. And I think one thing that I tried to do early on when I jumped into this project was ask what had gone wrong at town meetings and other places. I called chairs of other school committees and talked to them. They really said outreach. I want to credit people that came before me, Kelly, everyone else who's been here, going through. There's been 10 public forums, tours, info sessions, and 50 public committee meetings, 7 videos, 5 podcasts, multiple websites. There's a video tour. We really tried to get out there and be accessible. And to that point, we're all going to be at town meeting. Obviously, speak in the microphone, but if you see us and you don't feel comfortable talking to the large group, feel free to tap us on the shoulder and ask us a question. We're all going to be there.
So in
That's
terms,
good data.
in terms of last minute ideas, there have been some really great sound bites shared by committee members. This conversation itself. So perhaps Yes for Littleton, or no, I suppose it's Yes for Littleton could grab these sound bites and get these out, because it's been a lot of wonderful talking points. Kelly, I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of conversations I've had, people assume this is going to go through. They understand the math on it. They understand the amount of years and work that's gone into this project. And for the most part, let's be honest, town meeting is not the most enjoyable way to spend your evening. So they're like, no, it's going to go through. I probably don't want to go. The reality is you absolutely have to go to town meeting if you're a yes vote, because it's like restaurant reviews. The no votes are coming, okay? The no votes are gonna show up. So when you look, when you look at a review online, the complainers are there. Very rarely do you see excellent reviews. So if you're for the project, you have to come to town meeting. It won't be the most exciting thing that you've, ever attended. There will be some good, reality TV show aspect of it. Like there will be some good comments, like you will sit with friends. You can bring snacks, you can bring, non-alcoholic beverages. You only probably need to be there for 2 hours. Maximum. It starts at 7, childcare is over at 9. I'm thinking that the moderator's likely going to wanna end discussion and call a vote before 9 o'clock, because that's when childcare is officially gonna be over. So my expectation is that discussion and the like is wrapped up by 8:40, and we're looking at voting around 8:45. So really, if you're picking your kid up from karate or dance or grabbing takeout and your night isn't settled down until 8 o'clock, please still come. We probably don't need the voters there until 8:30 anyways. You'll pull up, the parking lot's going to look very full. Please find a place to park your car and walk in and grab a clicker and join the conversation for the time to vote. I've had a lot of conversations where people are like, I'm totally for the project, but I don't really want to go to town meeting. And I've made it very clear to them, I will be watching the door to see who comes in and who doesn't come in, and we'll have an issue if this thing fails by a slim margin. A couple other points were made. 78 registered children.
Mhm.
If you haven't registered your child, bring your child with you. There will be a lot of children there. Just because your child wasn't registered, it's going to be a family-friendly, child-friendly environment. Like Kelly was saying, in the cafeteria, you can keep your kids with you. We'll keep them busy. Honestly, there'll be a live feed of what's happening in the gymnasium. You're welcome to pay as attention as close as you can, but the most important thing is that you have that clicker in your hand and you're ready to vote when it's time to vote. So the whole family can be on the iPad. You don't really have to be watching town meeting.
And your children will have a great time. Dr. Snow is in charge of the room allocations and organization of activities, etc. It'll be a secure environment. Students will be chaperoned to their various classrooms, and when parents come to pick them up, we will bring the students back to the parents. So for the youngest parents or younger parents, I just want to make sure I stated that, because it's you're putting your child in our hands, and you really don't know who we are if you're not part of the school district already. So
Right. Go ahead, because I have one more point. I've lost it. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Maybe something else they will bring back. So not to denigrate town meeting, I think it's a uniquely New England tradition that I think is very exciting, because it's especially open town meeting like we have. It's like raw democracy. Everybody gets a vote. Nobody's representing you. You get your own vote, and there's protocols for everybody to be able to speak. And it's I think it's a fascinating way that, to run town government. So I enjoy it. I think it's interesting to see, the different people that get up to speak and the different viewpoints. And I encourage people to go. It's a real point of civic duty, I think, to be involved with your town this way.
Elaine, I'm in agreement. Listen, I go to the town meetings. I enjoy it, but I understand that some folks might not enjoy it. I mean, people are asking me today, is it still a ballot? Like, is it still do we still yay, no? Like, was it paper ballots? I'm like, no, we have these fancy clickers.
Oh, it goes so much faster.
It's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, it's so much nicer with the clickers.
Yeah.
It is, wow, it's like it's a whole
it's a game
thing.
changer.
And nobody sees how you're voting.
And yes, I know. And we are, we're personally asking for up to 2 hours of your time, Thursday night, 7 to 9. Great turnout. The other thing that I wanted to say was, and perhaps this is soundbite worthy, is I have never enjoyed going to town meeting where I feel like the town's asking us to spend money and we don't have a choice. It's like, we have to buy this parcel, otherwise the alternative use is going to be something that the town doesn't want. Or we have to do something with the orchard because we didn't do a good job with the orchard previously. What I want to state is that this is a project that we've been working on for 10, somewhere between 7 and 10 years. Hundreds of man hours have gone into this project, person hours. Have gone into this, that was an inside joke. Have gone into this project. The town has been awarded a $38 million grant. The FinCom has figured a way to service, I believe, about 14% of the debt anyways. The reality is, this is a no-brainer for the town moving forward, and the alternative is not a good choice, but you do have a choice. You can invest in Littleton, or you can choose to not move forward with a new building, and we will make it very clear what the alternative is. And it's not a good choice because over the last 7 to 10 years, we've been planning on this. We haven't been maintaining Shaker Lane to the best of our abilities, or bringing it up to code proactively because we knew we had a big spend associated with this. We haven't been adding on classrooms or bringing modular classrooms because we knew we were going to be moving forward with this, and very likely. So I view this as a gift to the town, and it's just time for us to give 2 hours of our night, show up, vote yes, feel good about it, and then go back to the ballot on Saturday and do the same. And on Saturday can be your leisure. That'll take 90 seconds. So I would, as the conversations are taking place between now and Tuesday, people need to be there. You need to show up because the no votes are coming. They have it on their calendar. They will be there, and they will be comfortable speaking at the microphone, many of them. So the point was made, but if you're for the project and you enjoy public speaking, I would encourage you to go to the microphone and state the reasons why you are for the project. And if you're not comfortable at public speaking, I would encourage you to find someone in your friend circle who is, so that you made at the microphone as to why, your subsection of the population is for the project, because it's always nice to hear. And Elaine, you're right. It's free form debate. It will be probably a little longer than it needs to be, but it'll be good TV.
I think also 2/3 is a big hurdle to get, is why I keep hammering at home. Town meeting and talking to a different school committee that went through the process and had to agree to it as well. They thought they were good because it went through town meeting. The other one said, okay, well, we got it by such a high threshold. Of course, people are going to vote on Saturday. It would be good. And it didn't, failed, and they had to do it again. So I think I'm overwhelmingly focused on Tuesday because the higher threshold, right? It's 2/3. But like Justin said, grab your coffee, have the kids in the back, whatever, run in, vote early, get it done, knock it out on Saturday. Make sure you get there because we do need the 51% or 50+1, but you still have to go and do it. So just want to reiterate that as well.
Or if your ballot came in the mail,
Yes.
fill it up, 1, 2, 3, that's even less time.
Yeah.
And actually, I talked to several people today, knocking on doors, who had already filled out their ballot and sent it in. Like I said, they think that's the only thing they need to do. So I don't really have a good answer for why are we doing why Tuesday and Saturday, why, but my fallback is it's a rule. That's how it's it's in the town bylaws.
John, do you have an update on how many mail it is? Steve?
The last check was last week was 327. All right. Yeah. So I haven't gotten an update since. I know last time there was in the spring, there was roughly 600 that were mailed in. I would expect that we could continue to see mail ballots come in.
And then, another thing to think about, I mean, we've had so many conversations in the last 3 years and beyond. And the Shaker Lane School is undersized, and I remember one of our first meetings we stated that. And, we had people understood, but we had a little bit of pushback. Well, it was good enough for my son or my daughter when they went to Shaker Lane. But when we actually were at the point in the project where MSBA came back and said to us, you're undersized by approximately 35,000 square feet. That's huge. That's a lot of square footage. our teachers and administrators at Shaker Lane School have done an incredible job educating our students in a space that is undersized that much. But it's just another number that should hopefully resonate with people. We want our youngest learners to be in a school where they're going to get the foundation they need to be successful. And that space will be used. When you educate young students, they are not sitting in desks. They're actively learning. They're learning through play. They're learning in groups, and they need space to move in. And right now, our classrooms, our teachers do what they can to make it work, but there is so much more that we can do to meet our education plan that really focuses on 21st century skill sets. So, I mean, that number just is daunting to me because making it work, that's my job as a superintendent. I would have never guessed that we were undersized by that much until that number came up.
You all set with that topic? All right. Fingers crossed for Tuesday.
That's
All right, we've got 3 presentations this evening, the first of which is the district PD plan for 2025-2026 school year. Elizabeth Steele, Director of Teaching and Learning, will give a brief presentation of the PD plan. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. All right, so our PD plan. A lot of this, I was just saying to my colleagues here, that this is going to sound like a lot of repetition because we've actually touched upon a lot of our PD plan already in previous presentations this year. Like, for example, during our UDL presentation and discussion, during our big SIP goals, when our principals were sharing what their goals were. That's all of that information is wrapped up and put into our PD plan, which is how we're able to move ourselves forward in acquiring and achieving these goals. So I'm happy this evening to present this big picture of our PD plan. Getting lost in my alphabet soup already for this current school year. So we have a couple major areas of focus, which will sound very familiar to you. One district-wide is universal design for learning. And so we're continuing to try and dig a layer deeper into that framework and into the guidelines and really using those practices and strategies within every classroom. We also have a major focus, again, should sound familiar, on our elementary literacy. We're in year 2 of implementing Wit and Wisdom. And so last year, as you heard Michelle and Colin share during their big SIP goals, we really went by the books with regards to Wit and Wisdom, and we learned a lot. And we learned that some of it is awesome and we love it and we're continuing it. And we learned that other pieces we have to adjust because the students in front of us are making us rethink that maybe we have a better way to do it, that abide by what is considered best practice in teaching literacy to young children. And so that is a focus for our elementary literacy educators this year. Those are the 2 big major areas of focus. However, it's never just that. There's always a lot of other things that are happening at the same time. And so it's just a couple of those things to mention tonight. We still are working to build that MTSS, which is the multi-tiered system of support. Remember, that's a very large umbrella under which UDL falls. And so UDL is a piece of that larger puzzle that is multi-tiered system of support. We're continuing conversations with AI, artificial intelligence, what tools exist, how we can use them, and how we can help our students learn about and potentially use them as well. We have new secondary math curriculum this year, and so we're working on implementing those in our 6 to 12 classrooms and continuously revolving around going back to social emotional learning, which again, if we look at the big umbrella of MTSS, social emotional learning is another piece that falls under, it's another pillar that falls within that system of support there. And so we are, as a district, very committed to providing effective, ongoing professional development that's really embedded within our system. We have really tried to turn away from kind of sit and get PD and one and done PD, right? Where you just go, you listen to someone, and if you're really dedicated, you're going to take that information, you're going to create something and go do something with it. And so turning away from that has meant spending and really diving into topics a lot deeper and providing time for us to not only process it, but to create and produce as part of our professional development. And so we have these major focus areas. We try to live in them because we also realize that we all grow at different rates, right? Just like our students. Some of our students are going to get it after a 5-minute explanation, and other students are going to get it after 5 minutes working on it, right? And so just like teachers, and so that's why when we do our professional development, we really try to have it so that way it's accessible to where our teachers are at. When we look at the calendar on the next slide, thanks, Steve, you see our PD calendar is actually 10 early release days. You see 12 here. The reason you see 12 here is that I include the first day back. We always have our district come together, participate in some sort of professional learning together that day to really ground ourselves into kind of emphasizing what our focus is for the year. And so we have that first day. And then also you see the cross-district PD day built into this calendar as well. And that is November 4th this year. That is district-wide, the full day where our students have the day off from school. Our educators are coming in to do a full day of professional learning. Other than that, you see the 10 early release days. The way that we build them out is that we have 3 building-based where our building administrators facilitate professional development. We have 2 district-based PD days where I, in collaboration with other leaders, create professional development and facilitate the professional development. And then we have 5 faculty-led professional development days. And that is where our educators are able to propose their own professional development sessions and facilitate those for themselves and for their colleagues. And so that is really where we get to see a variety of options. It's always very interesting to me kind of what we see. And a lot of times it's aligning with what we're doing as school, as a district. And it's also kind of telling where our teachers are at with regards to these initiatives and what we're doing. And then also some outside interest really being pulled in. And it's interesting to see what our staff pick, not only to potentially facilitate or present on, but also to attend itself. And so we do have these 10 days that are split out. We have had conversations. I think we've landed in a good spot with regards to how we divvy these days up. And so you'll see the 2 early release days at the beginning of the year in September. We've had conversations. Our building admin really like having those days to get their schools off the ground and running to really set the tone for their building. And then late fall, early winter is when district, we kind of come in and work on the district-based material. And then we have 5 consecutive days where our faculty are able to dive into their sessions and what they're choosing to learn consecutively. So that way they can learn, go put into practice, get feedback, come back to the table, have discussions, learn again. And then the last is a building based in order for building administrators to come back together with their schools and kind of really set that end of year, the tone for it, kind of wrapping things up at the building level. So I think we've hit our stride with regards to how those are divided from year to year. In addition to the designated time on the calendar, the dates that were just shared with you, we also have a plethora of other PD opportunities that we provide to our staff. Summer PD, we always provide a couple of structured opportunities for our staff to participate in. For example, we have this past summer, we did a book study and we offered an AI, Julie Lord offered an AI session for staff. So it's just really curated kind of specific choices that staff can participate in. We also have a document that's called Upcoming PD Opportunities, and it is consistently updated or constantly updated throughout the year whenever something else crosses my desk or crosses Kelly's desk, and we say this might be a really nice opportunity with staff. We add that to this Upcoming PD Opportunities for staff. So that way it's something they can consistently go back to and just say, I'm looking for a course in SEI or anything of that sort. They can refer back to that. And then additionally, our staff are able to take courses of their own choosing, attend conferences, attend workshops of their own choosing. There's so many wonderful professional organizations that provide really great PD for our staff, either through one-day workshops or multi-day conferences. And in addition to not only the great colleges and universities that provide coursework for our educators as well. And so all of that happens in addition to our designated time in our calendar. And so just to give you a sampling so far this year of some of the coursework that our educators have participated in or are currently participating in, that includes effective cooperative learning, engaging the artistic mind, student engagement and motivation, what teachers need to know about ADHD, and poetry in the classroom. And so you see that's where they get a lot of very specific to what they either need, what they feel like they need, the students that are in front of them, or maybe a new course that they're teaching that they want to deepen their own knowledge. So it's a really nice opportunity to build those skills and that knowledge base. With regards to our district PD days, the plan for those days, you can see here, August 25th was that first day back. We did a UDL check-in. I spoke about that during the UDL presentation, so I won't dive too deeply into that, but we reestablished that we're really sticking with UDL and going a level deeper and holding ourselves accountable of what's going well and what are areas that we can improve upon. So using the language of flow and grow. In addition, on August 25th, we also talked about AI and artificial intelligence, specifically Notebook LM, which is a tool that we have access to and that some of our secondary students are testing the waters with, and hopefully transitioning and being able to kind of put that on for our students to use it. That's a lot of deep conversations of what are we doing? How are we doing that to make sure that we're doing it in a way that is thoughtful. The 29th, which is next week, our elementary is focusing on literacy and best literacy practices within the classroom, knowing that Wit and Wisdom is the vehicle that they are using to reach the standards. And secondary will be focusing on UDL and AI. And so being a bit reflective of what we did on the 25th, taking that information and deepening our practices. On the December 10th, our elementary educators will continue with the literacy professional development. Our secondary is going to take one next step deeper into UDL by way of learning about cognitive science research and how the brain really works to learn. It's hard to learn that information, to know that information, and then to not see the benefit of using UDL. And so we're seeing how those topics marry together to really solidify the purpose of using UDL with our secondary educators and our secondary students. The other district-wide day that we have is that cross-district PD day. As we know, we've done it for several years now. It is a full day of professional learning. It is coming up on November 4th. Our planning team, Julie Lord, Natalie Proto, and I meet with our counterparts from Harvard and from Air Shirley. It used to be like, every other month it was a conversation, and then it becomes once a month, and then it becomes every other week. We are on the weekly schedule with daily emails because the November 4th is coming up very quickly. And so it's a nice collaboration between all three of those districts coming together to be able to have various conversations and discussions about where we are with implementing updated standards, new curriculum, because not all of us are using the same curriculum. So for example, we're the only ones that are implementing Wit and Wisdom right now. The others are using different curricula. And so it's interesting to see that this is the vehicle we're using, but we're all teaching the same standards. So what are the best practices that we're using to get to those standards? And so we're looking forward to this day. We are hosting it this year. It's our turn. We're up, so we'll be hosting it at high school. So we are busy in the depths of planning that day. The right that you see there looks like a old school newsie. Is our flyer, thanks to Paul Orzik. He works in the library at the high school. And I love this because I super appreciate Paul creating these flyers. I always send him information and I just give him, here's the date, here's the place, here's the title of the day that we're thinking, and here's a little description. And his artistic creativity just goes. And so I never know what he's actually coming back with. And I always appreciate the lens through which he sees it. And so thanks to Paul for creating that flyer for us. Lastly, the faculty-led days, to touch upon those. We have them. There are 5 different days. The intention is to not just be one and done, right? And so the minimum that a professional development can be is 2 days. So that way you're learning, you're acquiring information, you're sharing information, you're going back and doing something with it, and then you're reconvening as that same group to share out your learning. 3 days is another option, or all 5 days. And so our staff can facilitate and kind of pick and choose different opportunities and be creative with how they do these selections. We are currently in the midst of having staff fill out their faculty-led PD proposals. And so we've gotten a handful so far, some of which I have listed here for you as just a little kind of appetizer of what we see coming this year for our faculty-led sessions. Our PDC, our Professional Development Council, meets to review them to say, is it a go, is it not a go, is it a go, but with maybe certain caveats that we're going to go back and ask for. And so those will be finalized middle of December. We share that out with staff, so then staff's able to pick. And when we come back in January is when we kind of, with that fresh start, they're starting fresh with a new line of PD, which is their own selected faculty led. And that is the gist and overview of our of our professional development plan for this school year.
Cool, excellent job. Questions for Ms. Steele? Comments? Elaine, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm always so interested in this balance that you create between the building-based and the district-based and the faculty-led. And it seems so well planned to me that, and you're in control of the faculty-led sessions so that they're still meeting the objectives of the district. So that's great. Do you find that this balance gives you enough time to pursue some of the bigger district initiatives like the Portrait of a Learner? And you spoke about UDL several times, but it seems like there's a lot of teacher agency here, which is great for the teachers, but how do you strike that balance where the district is also providing the leadership on some of the bigger initiatives?
Yeah, so I think, it'd always be nice to have more time,
Yeah.
right? But that's the age old that can't be done, right? So how are we creative with the time that we have? I think the faculty led, it does have to align to the school improvement plan, and or inevitably if it aligns to the school improvement plan, it's going to align to the district strategic plan in some way, shape, or form. And so that does allow us to kind of ensure that things are connecting to each other. And yet maintaining that agency for staff, right? I think the big key, and what always is a good indicator for me, is if we are providing district-based, building-based PD that is timely and applicable, it gets brought in and goes throughout the faculty led. And that to me is always a really good indicator, right? So if the topic or a topic that we have worked on either in either of those, or even as staff and staff development in meetings or anything of that sort gets brought into faculty led, then to me that's a good indicator that we're kind of hitting the right spots. It's when I start to see a little bit of that disalignment start, then I start to say, I take a step back and say, what are we missing? What mark are we not hitting, right? And where maybe we're ready to move on, but I didn't think we were. That to me is when I start to see the alignment kind of falling off, where I take a step back and say, where are we? Where am I missing the mark? And how can we realign ourselves back together? I think the Portrait of a Learner is such district. Our admin team works a lot on that during our time together because it is very big picture district, but it's such school specific work. And so a lot of those conversations actually happen during staff meetings or during team meetings.
And remind me, is this with Portrait of a Learner, is this more of still of a planning year, and next year would be more like when the rubber hits the road in the individual classrooms?
So rubber is going to hit the road at the high school. It kind of already is hitting the road with the high school, and I'm happy to have Keith support if he is up to it. But that is because NEASC is coming in the spring of this year. Rubber has to meet the road for the high school. And so the portfolios, the student portfolios are already happening. They're starting to happen in the advisory, the digital portfolios of students coming together and saying, I'm demonstrating critical thinking in these projects, and here's how. That's happening at the high school. And so what we're really hoping for is to ensure that we're kind of learning from that process to be able to implement it smoothly at the other schools. And so it is it's both a planning and an implementation year. I think it will be one of those years where we start to introduce some things to students and families. As opposed to just kind of waiting until it's never. It'll be perfect at some point. I guess I shouldn't say it'll never be perfect,
Yeah.
but it's a work in progress, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to not show it until it's perfect. Yeah, for example.
And one more question, about, teachers' individual professional development. Do they get some amount of money that they can tap into each year from the district that will pay for conferences and workshops upon approval from by superintendent?
Yes, they do.
It's built into the contract. They have a certain allotment that they're able, and they just have to fill out a form. We review it, approve it, go through, and most people know the process. It's something that during our new hire, we emphasize and share. And I always say, just talk to your mentor because it's so worth.
Right.
Not many, even, I still have conversations with other districts and they're like, you do what? Yeah, we're committed to this.
Yeah.
It's in the contract. And so it is something that is special that we still are able to provide and built into the contract.
Yeah, it's really important.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's well used.
Good, good.
I'm really, really proud of our staff. They are committed to lifelong learning. You know, they do take advantage of the opportunities that we available to them. There are two other, we can go on for a lot longer than this, but there are a lot of things that we do that you're probably unaware of. A number of us in this room just finished 12 hours of safety care training. You have to be certified every year. You don't get the luxury of having a 2 or 3 year certification. So I was not able to attend Littletown because I was in my last 3 hours of training for safety care. We also mandated for all staff have safe school training. That's 3.5 hours of online training a year that's mandated by the federal government. So just some things that you should be aware of, and that safe schools training is not something that we allocate time to, because if you want to work in public education, you need to go through that, pass the tests at the end of the section in order to remain employed in the public school system.
Sean?
Yeah, I just want to call it, I love that you're using science-based reasoning for why you're doing UDL. I think that helps a lot with driving buy-in. Awesome. I'm just wondering, kind of year to year, a lot of specialized per teacher. How do you kind of evaluate impact, right? So we got to look next year, okay, well, this went well, so.
So at the end of the year, I send out a survey to staff gathering feedback, right, of what PD helped you this year. What do you want to see? What do you want to learn? And that's always very informative and helpful at the end of the year to kind of see and kind of I then mull it over and determine for moving forward. The other way is really through classroom visiting in and what's happening. And so we have a PD day and then going into the classroom the next day or in the next couple of weeks to be able to see what is being implemented, what has been done. And that really is the litmus test of was the PD helpful, impactful, right? Is if they're turning around and using it, if we're seeing it in action, that is whether that's a good evaluator of kind of what the impact of the PD.
It's great, thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Beth, I'll say I think you do an absolutely fabulous job with the PD plan. I love the way it's mapped out. You get a little bit of everything. Cool that we're hosting this year because that's always an emphasis of pride because I know we do such a great job. And you can tell, you know, based upon the work that goes into this, that professional development is like a core value within our district, and as it should be. And as it is in, I would venture to guess, nearly all high performing school districts. So it's something that I believe is super important. And I just want to say I think you do an awesome job with it. I was curious if the PD that we provide, if the teachers pick up those PDP points over the course of the year, and what amount of offering translates to their continuing ed to renew their license?
Yeah, very good question. So professional learning, and we've tried to differentiate that professional learning hours versus professional development. And so it has to be 10 hours together in order for us to provide very specific PDPs, which can then be used for research. Professional learning hours, anything under 10 hours, I can provide professional learning, or the district provides professional learning hours that as a teacher, they can bundle together. And as soon as they hit 10 hours together bundled, it automatically turns into PDPs for them to research. And so we ensure that our professional development aligns with, is what they can either bundle together or what they can use for research. So for example, the faculty-led professional development, the reason we have, you can do a 5 is because that'll get you 10 PDPs. So if I do the same faculty-led PD for all 5 sessions, I'm guaranteed at least 10 PDPs that I can then use for recertification.
Cool.
And so we are intentional about that. It does take teacher planning. It does take educator planning to map out, okay, I need this many in electives. I need this many in pedagogy. I need this many in SCI. So there is intentional planning that has to happen, but we as a district try to be intentional to support that. One thing that we do that I didn't mention is every summer we provide professional learning. For the past handful of summers, we've started doing it specific to SEI, because every educator has 15 professional development points in SEI for their research every 5 years. And
Did you say what SEI is?
yeah, thank you. Sheltered English immersion. And so to support multilingual learners. In all reality, as a previous world language teacher taking that SEI course, it was good teaching of language, right? And so I took those strategies in the SEI course. It was all about English immersion. I just spun around and put it as Spanish immersion when I was teaching Spanish. And so it's very good learning strategies and practices to help our multilingual learners learn the English language to become successful within our public schools. So we offer a mini course every August to either satisfy the 15 PDPs required for the SEI endorsement, or 15 PDPs to satisfy, it has a very long title, but it's to support the diverse needs of students. And so we have flip-flopped every other year to provide those mini courses for our staff. And every year we've had about 12 to 20, depending on the year. It depends on, sometimes we have high recertification years, and we know that because we're spending more money on professional development and the coursework, and people are taking more advantage of that contract part than other years. And so those we have been doing to support the recertification. It is a professional responsibility. Educators know that, but we also as a district know that whatever we can do to support that is helpful. And so we do try to be strategic with those planning. That's awesome.
So fair to say, in summary, if a faculty member is paying attention to the requirements and strategic about the professional development that's offered, they could likely achieve all necessary PDP requirements over the course of a 5-year span by solely participating in district professional development. I mean, that's a stretch. I don't know what the answer is.
I'd have to do the math
It's
out,
close,
but it's very close. If it's not a
close.
yes, it is
Yeah.
very close.
Very close. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
And guaranteed is a guarantee yes if they use their contractual the funds to look at something further. But it is very close. I know I went down a rabbit hole to give that long answer. Yes.
And no judgment cast on that. I think that's a wonderful
Yes.
thing that we're doing,
Yeah.
getting you nearly the way there.
Right.
And then my last question is like kind of a curveball, wild card, fun question, but you mentioned it. So what does learning about geodes,
Oh,
how does that translate back to the district strategic plan?
okay. So geodes are part of our literacy program. And so they are decodables, they're readables for young learners.
Rocks.
And they're not the rocks. I should have put the copyright symbol behind geodes.
Oh.
As I wrote it, I almost put in a little more, but sometimes it's fun to put a little something in there for this curveball reasoning. So it's not necessarily the rocks, geodes, it's readables
Sure.
that are used within our literacy program, which then directly ties to.
Well, I'm a little bummed. I totally
So-
Well, I'm expecting that maybe it's inspired a faculty proposal that I'll be seeing very soon.
I am going to
But-
say it's not about the geodes. We're going to do UDL for this topic, and really it's the message behind the subject matter.
Yeah.
But you surprised me.
Yeah.
I was excited about the elevation of science.
Yes,
up to this level.
it will be. We will have specific science offerings. I mean, you've heard the STEM presentations from our students, right? Like,
Yes.
I mean, our students and our staff are doing amazing, really deep work within the STEM field. And so those are forthcoming, I'm sure.
All right, so we're not learning about rocks during PD. Okay, fine.
No, not at this time. But what is fun is that when you purchase the geodes, they actually send a geode with the kit. And so once the geodes are delivered, they do get an actual geode, which then triggers the conversation of, what is this? How is it? Right? It does trigger that science conversation, which then also is like a beautiful thing of how literacy is really combining the science and the social studies into it's all linked, right? It's all together. Okay.
Lovely.
Great.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, next up, presentation number 2. It's an analysis of chronic absenteeism and its causes at LBS. We're going to hear from the assistant principals. Each school will discuss chronic absenteeism rates as well as potential causes of chronic absenteeism. First up.
I have a handout first.
All right.
Oh, boy.
This is just a piece of
Thank you.
evidence, I guess, what we've done for the past 2 years to work on our attendance and some of the.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a postcard that we sent out from the district before last school year and before this school year as part of our initiative to address chronic absenteeism. It's been a state focus for the past year and a half or so. And going back to last summer, myself, the other assistant principals, Beth, Julie Lord, Meredith Perry joined us as well. She was an intern at the time. We got together as a attendance task force of sorts. As a state grant that provided us with a little bit of funding, which paid for the postcards, paid for some of the flyers we sent out, and really standardized our process in the district of how we address absenteeism and just how we reach out to families. And, you know, the letters we send out are all standardized across the district. That happened last summer. And then this summer we reconvened and evaluated where we were at after the work we did last year and some of the impact that we saw in the data, and then plan some next steps. So that's kind of what we'll talk about tonight. So for the high school, here on the screen, you have the past 3 years of our attendance rate, which is our present rate, and also our chronically absent rate, which is defined as a student who's missed 18 days within the school year, whether it's excused or unexcused. And so going back to 22-23, our attendance rate was 93.3%, and our chronically absent rate was 14.8%. And then going to last year when we started focusing on 23-24 is 94.6% present and 10% chronic absent, 10.6. And then last year, 95.3% and 9.3% chronically absent. So we've seen an improvement over the past 3 years, each year, and really coming kind of out of the pandemic, which when we really saw a spike in absenteeism. The years following that, you know, for various reasons, obviously the actual health reasons, but also we started to see some more leniency, I guess you want to say, in terms of students coming in late, being absent multiple days. We were being very considerate of people coming back from illness and missing multiple days. And at the high school level, we see a lot of different types of absences. We have college visits. We have all types of different activities that are happening with our students that are impacting their attendance. And sometimes you don't necessarily understand the impact that all these things are having on the student's attendance until you look at the actual data. Because yes, they're all excused absences. We know why kids are out, but they're still racking up 18 to 20, 25 absences over the course of the school year. It's having an impact on their learning and on learning of others in their classes. So that was part of our focus as a group, you know, obviously realizing that our numbers are comparatively better to the state average numbers. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be focusing on it and trying to improve getting kids in school. So the data on the screen that shows our high school data for the past 3 years. The clips down the bottom, the graphics down the bottom are from the district profile from DESE. And so it breaks down by all different categories for the past 3 years. So obviously the postcard which I handed out to all of you is also there on the screen. But that was what was sent out before school last year, before school this year. We also had back to school nights, we had flyers. A lot of the material that we used, the information came from Attendance Works, which is an organization out of Ohio. which has done a lot of work on attendance, and they have flyers, they have postcards, they have graphics, they have a lot of messaging that we kind of personalize. You can see ours with our Littleton logos, that kind of stuff that we use, and we curate some of that information to send out to parents, to families, to students. A lot of messaging through Friday flyers, those types of things. They're talking about attendance specifically. We're trying to be more proactive in addressing attendance instead of being reactive. And so the handouts, positive messaging, visuals and posters around the buildings. You know, when you come to the high school, for example, as you come up to the window where you sign, where kids signed in late, it's a poster right next to that window about, you know, you matter, being here matters. We want you to be here. We care about you, those types of things. So that's the proactive measures. We're also looking at consistently monitoring attendance through SST, through clinical teams, through admin teams. We're looking at data, looking at who is absent, why they are absent, and really understanding the factors behind why students are absent. We are being more consistent with our notifications about attendance. We have monthly notifications that all families, when students are trending towards chronic absenteeism. So, excuse me, at the beginning of the school year, a lot of letters are going out, because in the first month of school, if you miss a day or two, you are trending towards chronic absenteeism. So the letter itself goes out to a lot of families. I think this past September, we sent out like 63 letters from the high school alone. The student had missed 2 days. And that's because in some situations, we had students that were traveling before the start of the school year and didn't get back on time, or whatever it is, but they were absent twice, they got a letter. And so I think last year was kind of a shock to some families that receiving, you know, absentee notices that frequently. But it was talking about the trend towards chronic absenteeism and talking about the fact that excused and unexcused all count. Time away from the classroom counts, no matter what the reason is. And so being more aware of the impact that absentee has on a student's progress, I think helps students make different choices about those days that are not as excused in terms of making decisions of whether or not to attend school. Other things that we're doing to impact attendance, we are focusing at the high school on our school culture and having the school be a place that kids want to be. I was at a conference this past Tuesday through MPY, the Mass Partnerships for Youth. It was a 2-part conference about attendance. On Tuesday, I was talking about mental health and the impact on attendance. And the one earlier, I think it was last month, was their annual attendance summit, where we have speakers from across the state and districts present from across the state about attendance. We have our advisory program, which is a consistent group for 4 years. My current advisory actually is senior, so I'll be looking with new kids next year. But that helps build that connection for kids with each other, but also with at least one staff member in the school to make it a situation where they want to come to school for that purpose. We have our Character Strong Advisory Curriculum, our SEL curriculum, which we've been doing at the high school for 3 years now. And we've made our own tweaks in our own version of Character Strong, using their curriculum to develop SEL lessons for students. We are doing once a month in our advisories. And we have Spirit Weeks, we have Great Kindness Challenge Weeks. We have a lot of things that are focused. We actually just finished a Spirit Week. Last week, we had a pep rally on Friday for the homecoming game and dance on Saturday. So we're trying to inject some fun into school for the students that, again, makes them want to show up and want to be in the building. And then when we start having students that have a lot of attendance issues, we have targeted conversations with families. We have conversations with the students about why are you absent so much, or what is going on? What can we do to help you? What can we do to support you to help drive home the importance of them being in school? And then this year, we've at the high school decided to expand our focus some and also include tardiness as part of our chronic absenteeism focus, because even though students are present for school, if they're tardy a lot, they're also missing class time. And so we have students that would come in, we start 8:05, they're coming in at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. They've missed 2 classes. And so it doesn't show up on our attendance reports for the state chronic absenteeism, but it still impacts day-to-day running of school. And so we are really focusing on our tardiness and the nature of excused tardiness. So for as long as I've been in Littleton, we said if a parent called us, it's excused because we trust our families and we trust our parents and we trust our students to make the right decisions. But as we've seen, we've had a lot of students who just come in late and get a phone call like at the end of the day saying, oh yeah, they were running late this morning. And so we're trying to help build those better habits with our students by saying, that's not good enough anymore. If you have an appointment in the morning, great, go to your appointment, come in, bring us a note, and you're all set. It's excused, it doesn't count against you. But if you're just oversleeping, then we need to have different conversations and different strategies in the morning. So that's the high school. Questions for me specifically, or you want to wait till the end or do it now?
Now, I just have a question about the data,
Mhm.
just to make sure I'm understanding it
Sure.
correctly. So we'll look at this, I guess we'll look at last year, right, 24, 25?
Yep.
So the attendance rate, 95.3, so that's
Yep.
the average daily attendance. We're
Yes.
missing 4.7% of the student population
Correct.
every day.
Yep.
So if we go over to absent 10 days or more.
Yep.
Am I understanding that 26% of the student population misses 10 days or more?
Yes.
So if we were to look at low income, because we've got it broken down,
Yep.
we're trying to, this is a proactive approach. We're trying to figure out where the needs are and how to help all these different subclasses. So we've got, 63.6%, or maybe even worse, which is 43.2% of the low income families are missing 18 days or more of school. Chronically absent.
Yes.
It's like nearly half the population.
Yeah.
Thereabouts.
Yes, that is
So, I think we're gonna talk about some strategies as to why this might be. I'm curious if we have any information where maybe the other schools can comment on this, but have we done some digging to figure out, hey, maybe some of this is related to travel because the demographics in our district have changed and people, visit family and they might not be close, so they go for extended period of time. And some of this observation of religious holidays that aren't on the calendar is some of this. I mean, if someone's low income, would they have a waiver for the bus regardless? So they would have transportation be provided?
yes.
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah, I think not to cut you off.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like.
There are a lot of facts.
Like a
So
brainstorming conversation here.
So I think part of the I guess the issue looking at the data we have, same as any data set that we look at, is the fact that we have not very small, but smaller type populations in all these subcategories.
Right.
And so if you have a student
Couple
who's
students make a
a couple
difference.
students make a huge difference, obviously. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for it or anything like that, but that's just the nature of our district.
Right.
I know I've talked about with AP and MCAS presentations before the board before as well. So a couple students do make a big difference. And like I said, we have a giant spreadsheet which we curate that has all of our data for all of our attendance, and it has specifically every student who was chronically absent or who was trending towards chronically absent every month, and what they got for notifications and et cetera, and the reasons why they're absent. So we talk about that, myself, Dr. Harrington, the clinical team, the school nurse, everyone who's involved with attendance looks at that. And I can say, looking at the end of the year data, we had, off the top of my head, probably, I think it was 57 students total that were chronically absent last year. So that missed the 18 days or more.
Mhm.
Some of those, as you mentioned, were students that had traveled. Last year in particular, we had I think 10 students who were overseas before the start of the school year and couldn't get back because of weather reasons, but their flights got canceled. So they missed 6 or 7 days of school to start the year.
Some medical challenges.
Yeah, we have had students who have extended medical situations.
Right.
Or we've had students who had, had some time, mental health reasons, like hospitalizations, those types of things. And so we try to be obviously sensitive to all the specific needs of all the students. And while they are still classified as chronically absent, we're not intervening at the same level with some of these students because of the nature of their absence.
Sure. I
So,
guess maybe
yeah.
I missed it, but the category to focus on would be the unexcused
Correct.
absences, right?
Yeah.
So the numbers aren't nearly as bad, but we
Correct.
still have nearly 16% of the low income population missing 9 or more days.
Yep.
We've got 16% of the Hispanic, Latino, and the multi-race, not Hispanic or Latino, around 16%.
Right. Yeah, I mean, those are the highest groups that we have right now in terms of our absenteeism, and so we need to figure out how to address their specific needs differently. Of
And smaller populations.
course,
Right,
Yep.
so that, a couple students moved the needle on that.
100%.
Sure.
But I'm relieved to see a big drop off, at least from the numbers, like
Oh,
low
yes.
income and high needs, like high needs in particular. Like you're like, oh geez, 47% of the high needs population's missing 10 days or more, but it's really only 7% where they have unexcused deaths.
Exactly. Yep. But
Perhaps many of those.
when it comes down to it, at this point, though, like the state doesn't care about excused versus unexcused in their reporting.
But we know there's a story behind
100%.
many of those.
Yeah, and we know the stories, we talk about the stories, we process everything, we provide support for families, relative to their needs.
Something was a great questions. I was gonna say too, I think just data in general, whenever you're dealing with this kind of stuff post COVID, I'm
Mhm.
wondering what it looked like 2019, 2018. Are we kind of back up?
I mean, we are back to where we were. It's all available. I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. But I think the school profile on DESE's website goes back to, I believe, 2015.
Okay.
And so I was actually looking at it as I was making the slides for tonight, and the actual graph looks differently. And so I look back at like 2017, I think it was. I'm like, wow, we were 20% chronically absent. That was the wrong number. It was the wrong column. So yeah, we're roughly back to where we want to be, or where we were before COVID. The 95% present rate is kind of the threshold we want to stay around, in terms of accountability metrics. Because attendance is part of accountability in terms of schools. But yeah, we're back to roughly where we were. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but
Okay, thank you.
When you had mentioned that, there are certain numbers that just trigger an automatic letter
Yep.
to a family. Is the family supposed to respond? Does it start a conversation or?
both.
Oh, okay.
So there's the variety of notifications that we have. The one that's mandated is 5 unexcused absences is mandated a letter.
Okay.
That's not our rule, that's the state's rule. So that's a different letter that gets sent out. The one I was talking about before is the trending towards chronic absenteeism. That's more of a notification.
Yeah.
Because that again could be 2 days.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
my first thought is one neurovirus running
100%.
through the family,
Yep.
and if I got something after I was taking care of that, I might be like, really?
Yeah, I mean, in the trending notification is not a mailing. It's
Okay.
it's Aspen generated.
Okay.
And so a parent receives a notification from Aspen saying there's a new notice in their Aspen, and we can track the percentage of the parents that interact with that notification. It's not 100%. It's lower than that.
Yeah.
But we did have parents. I had a parent this year who the son broke his arm. He was out for a little while. Got the notifications, and she's like, "What do you need from us to?" We have doctors. And I said to her, like, "I know we have the notes. This is a generated thing. It's auto. We can't pick and choose who gets the notices, who doesn't for these Aspen notifications. The other ones, the other like attendance letters, the more formal ones, we do have some discretion of who we send those
Okay,
to.
good.
So I go over that with the admin assistant. She gives me a list of all these kids who have X amount of, say, 10 absences. And I go through that with her and I say, okay, I know this kid is this kid is that, this kid is that. We're not sending them a letter. But the Aspen notification is auto-generated. We cannot unselect a student or a family from that notification, unfortunately. But there was some frustration, especially last year when we started sending them out from parents who had been very communicative with us. And we just had to talk through it with them and be like, yes, we know we got all your phone calls, we got your emails, we got doctor's notes, etc. But this is, part of a state focus.
That's a stress on a family.
It is.
Like the neurovirus, a broken arm, they're already like.
Yeah. And then there was one last year in particular, we had a student who had an extended medical situation. And our guidance counselor reached out to that parent every month and say, hey, FYI, the notification's coming out tomorrow, ignore it.
Yeah, okay.
And so,
that's great.
we want to be respectful to parents and family situations. but also focus on,
Oh, yeah, I mean, we have to do something, but yeah, it's how to do it.
that's kind of where we settled on, was in those situations, just being proactive. Again, reaching out and saying, hey, you don't need to open the notification because we know.
That's awesome. Thanks.
I have a couple, actually
Sure.
building off of what Justin was saying earlier, back to the subgroups.
Yep.
Can you remind me what gets lumped into high needs? Do you think there's some overlap with some of these other categories?
Yeah, high needs includes low income, it includes special education,
Right.
ISD Title IVs, English language learners, they're all lived on.
Yeah, so that makes the data a little clunky.
Yeah.
But just, since there does seem to be some clear data that certain subgroups are, have more of an issue than others, are you starting to do any planning with that information about subgroups, about maybe the causes related to, say, low income
Mhm.
or, it sounds like you've been dealing with, the absences on an individual family
Yep.
basis, but is there any story here to tell with this data about certain subgroups of concern? Like what's happening with the low income
Sure.
families that make.
I think it's hard to lump people into their subgroup categories when it comes to attendance in particular, because just because you are a member of that particular subgroup doesn't mean you have anything to do with someone else that's in that same member of a subgroup. And so we really want to look at every situation as an individual situation, and it just happens to come out as this person and this person are from the same, DESE.
But I mean, are there trends that you can see in the data? Say, is it harder for low income students to get to school because they have a job during school hours, or, things like that, that we should.
I don't have a direct answer to that question right now. I do know that we certainly have had families in the past that the students did work, and we try to work with them and actually give them more study credit for it. Try to be creative that way. Obviously, as Steve mentioned, bus waivers, those types of things are in place. We've had an influx of families that have greater English language needs this year, and so we've done a lot of work with getting things translated into home language, those types of things. And so we are trying to reach out. I know other schools have done almost like site visits to different neighborhoods in town to bring. I know Jason's kind of spearheaded that last year to bring the school to the community instead of vice versa, but to help support families differently. So I don't have a direct answer to the
No, I
right
mean,
now.
like we were saying earlier, that because we're such a small district, the numbers do get
Sure.
skewed a little bit.
Yep.
It only takes a couple of kids to make the numbers go.
Right. I also don't want to generalize,
Right.
especially when it comes to attendance. It's hard to make assumptions that just because of one factor is certainly impacting attendance.
I mean, it's something worth looking at
Absolutely.
though, when you see the data, when you see certain subgroups have a high chronic absenteeism
Yep.
rate year after year after
Sure.
year, the data does start to tell a story.
Yes.
So,
And we're not exempt from having students babysitting younger siblings because a parent needs to work to put food on their table.
Right.
And we work with those families, but your strategies have to be carefully developed, because if you go in with the wrong approach, you're just going to lose them. I mean, there's always the reality of attendance in public schools. If you're not careful, people will just pull their children and put them on a homeschooling program.
Mhm.
And then we have no influence after that point in time. So, again, I think Keith, the phrase he used, that we really need to get to know the families. That will allow us to be successful. Continue on with this mission.
Thanks for, sorry to have taken so much of
Yeah,
your time, but
there you go.
I think the high school is particularly interesting. It seems like that's the age level where kids have more agency, more
They do.
control about whether they're going
And-
to get their body to school or not.
We have students who are starting to look at other pathways.
Yeah.
And we have more and more students doing internships and looking at those types of opportunities too. So it's like, we want to help them find their path while they're with us still. And then, once they're gone, we have no control.
Right.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
All good things, like the approach about making it a place where kids want to be,
Yeah.
right? So,
like that.
you know, I want to go to school. That's where my friends are. That's where the fun is.
Right.
The spirit days, like there's something going on. I want to be part of it. You know, it's hard for that to be successful across the board with the entire
Of course.
student population, but being a small district and getting to know the students, getting to know the families, I mean, that's long term, that's what makes a difference. And appreciate the efforts.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Keith probably got most of the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did the heavy lifting for you guys.
The slide there. There you go.
Yeah, good job, Keith.
I'm not gonna bring anything much different than what Keith has already said, because, you know, the task force, was kind of down, so everything seems to be pretty consistent across the schools. You can see some of the same trends at the middle school, right, where we've definitely improved. We're seeing a drop in the chronically absent rate, which is great. You know, some of the reasoning, I don't know that our reasons for student absences are as diverse as the high school. Middle schoolers are kind of bound by bus routes, parents driving, or being within walking distance. Tardies is a problem. We do have, especially when our flex block was 30 minutes long many years ago. I mean, it was all the time where kids were showing up 20, 30 minutes late because they didn't consider that to be real class. We try to change that narrative. You know, I think this was happening before COVID, but the mental health crisis that we're seeing in schools, COVID just took it to that exponential level. But a lot of what we see, I'm just speaking from my experience, having watched the implementation of some of these strategies. We have, you know, we have a number of students who are real resistant to going to school, and some parents, after a while, you just can't fight the fight anymore. And so you give it an acquiesce because it's just easier. And, you know, our job is to help support those families and help to do what we can. And like all the other schools, I think we do a really good job of connecting with our families and really knowing what's going on with students. But, you know, some of the measures that we have implemented, those automatic emails, I think, have been really helpful for us, because we've had a number of people who have reported that they were shocked by the number. Like, if they hadn't received that, they would have not known otherwise. We used to send letters like 3 times a year. And, you know, if you're sending a letter in December, you know, the damage is done, right? The kids have had 3 months of missing school. And so this constant update is much better for parents to be able to stay in the know, you know, where their kids are. And so I think that's, for us, really, really what we see. We do have a number of families who, I've already had 2, maybe 3 families reach out about students missing a week or more because they're going on vacation. So those 5 days or those 10 days certainly add up. It's not uncommon to have to withdraw students because they're gone for an extended period of time, and have them re-enroll when they come back, because those absences ding us when it comes to the state. And so I think, 30 days? I think, you know, if it's an anticipated, you know, length of time more than that, you withdraw the student, because otherwise that's 30 days on the absence count that really hurt. And so I think that's largely what we see at the middle school, is really more about some of that resistance to mental health and stress, sickness, a lot of illnesses. You know, middle school kids, they're just germy, and they spread it, and it does. It'll wipe out a whole wing of kids. And so, you know, this is just the nature of it. But in the sad reality is, we're not different than any other community. We have families for whom school is not the priority, and we have families for whom, you know, the needs of the family come before the needs of getting the kid to school on time. We don't have as much as we see in other communities. It's so kind of, you know, when you look at 95.2%, it's an embarrassment of riches, you know, that those numbers are so high, because there are plenty of districts in the state that don't go close to that. But it doesn't mean we rest on our laurels. And so I think the things that we have implemented as a district have really started to help turn that. And obviously the numbers are bearing it out. For me, it's the chronically absent numbers, seeing, at least at the middle school, seeing it, you know, we're less than half of where we were 2 years ago. And that's a good thing. And I anticipate we'll see it coming down. One piece of data that I wish I had looked at was perfect attendance. I'd be curious to know, you know, we see it, but to look at the other end too, are we having more kids who are constantly here? I wish I had looked that up before I came, but it wouldn't be too hard to produce.
Right. Yeah. Those earning a 5 in the AP for attendance.
Yeah. So, that's about where we are. Any questions?
Where we show no data on the, with the statistics here, is that because?
There's not enough to report.
Okay, so yeah.
There's a threshold of the state.
The size of the group is too small.
Do we know what that threshold is?
I think it's 10, isn't it?
It's 10.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Questions for Jason?
And have you also looked at your data pre-COVID to see if you're back to?
We're back to
Yeah.
where we were, which is great. We're experiencing more challenges now than we did previously. But I think this idea of getting students and families to care about school and the importance of being there really does help. And so like the high school does, we try to implement as well about creating a culture where students like to be in school, because it's, I don't know if anybody's read The Anxious Generation yet, but there's a quote by the author who says that, the reality is that for some students, school or the home is the most dangerous place on earth. And so for many kids, school is their safe place. And we at the middle school, we really take that to heart. And so there are kids who come here just because they know that it's consistent, they're loved, they're cared for, and that becomes its own force. And our just hope that continues as they move forward. So
I'm sure your efforts to build connections with each student have an impact on that
They do.
area as well.
they do. And I think that the family part of it is, I know Keith mentioned it too, the importance of families is important too, because at some point in time when we go to call home, we want to be able to do it out of concern and have to be consistent enough so that every time every time I call home, there's that pregnant pause, right? And sometimes it's justified and sometimes it's not. And so we try to break through those barriers to say, like, just because you're getting a call from school, we can normalize that. So it's just like anybody else calling. I think that goes a long way too to helping our students and families feel like they're wanted and that they should be there, and that's the right place to be.
Very much.
All right. Thank you, Keith.
Right, good evening. For those of you who may not know, I'm Andrea Romano. I'm the assistant principal at Russell Food School. It's great to be here tonight. I am presenting on behalf of Rebecca Deacon from Shaker Lane as well. So I think we'll go through Russell Street data. I do want to say, like, Rebecca and I particularly really have approached this through a K-5 lens. We really partnered together. Specifically because a lot of the families are, we're working with a lot of the same families. So there's definitely a partnership with that. But I also want to say, like, before we really dig into the data here is one of the things that I really appreciated the most about the assistant principals joining together with Beth and the other members of the task force 2 summers ago is just really, like, opening the door to conversation and really having the opportunity to really address some of the concerns that we all shared with this topic, and really being able to have those vertical conversations. Rebecca and I and Michelle and Colin, we have had experience working with kiddos at the elementary level, and being able to pass on the experiences and the interactions and the challenges that we faced and the successes that we faced with certain students and certain families as they progress onto the secondary level with Jason and with John and Keith at the middle school and the high school are really, really important, so that they can kind of hit the ground running when they're taking on the students as they're moving into 6th grade and as they're moving into 9th grade. And I think just being able to have that traction, it saves time and it saves resources so that you can really partner with families in advance and not wait to be so reactive, but really being able to be constructive as you move forward into those academic years. So I think that's just something that I want to highlight on behalf of the whole entire team. So this evening, I think as the data shows, Russell Street, last year is really trending in a positive direction as well. As we look at the data, for chronically absenteeism within our building, as well as, the increased attendance rate overall. We are close to where we were, pre-pandemic. So this is the year that we're really looking forward to, making that last little push there to get there. So some of the things that I want to highlight in terms of Russell Street School, is, some of the work that I did last year really centered around, working with families on an individual basis, specific to just really starting to increase student kind of like participation or their own building of habits, if you will, in terms of their routines and their ability to kind of take ownership of being prepared as students. So what that might look like is, students who are either tardy or who do have, challenges with just getting to school in general, is really looking at like, how can we get prepared in the morning, or even really like in the evening, the night before, so that we're ready to go, so that we're not hitting those roadblocks and those frustrations in the morning. I know as a parent myself, sometimes even with best intentions and, all of the planning, like sometimes mornings are hard. And so, what are the things that we can do to really help families build in positive routines and positive habits, so that kids can have those as they proceed later on into the middle school and high school. Also, just want to say, like, we try to make school fun as well. So, we've really had a return to some really strong, fun things at Russell Street over the last 2 years. We have like cafeteria cup challenges where, grade levels can earn prizes and rewards within the school week for positive, behavior in the cafeteria. It's like this big like incentive thing. There's different activities, different things that kids are participating in. 5th grade, just to highlight, has early morning recess right off the bus or right at arrival time. So for 5th graders, like being able to hang out with your friends and be outside and play first thing in the morning, like that's huge. Like kids want to do that. Kids want to be able to start their day off with movement and just some socialization. So we've got some positive things working for us in that direction. Kind of as a segue maybe to the Shaker Lane information is, oh my goodness, I just totally lost my train of thought. I knew that would happen at some point. So we'll come back to that. Hopefully I'll remember what I was going to say, and we'll just look at Shaker Lane information now. But I think, the numbers here also are highlighting a downward trend with chronically absent students, as well as an upward trend with the attendance rate at Shaker Lane. So I think like it's pretty evident that the work that we've done as a team and that we do within our schools on a regular basis really is starting to have a strong impact. And that's really from the little ones all the way up through. Just remember what I was going to say is I want to highlight, when we're thinking about the challenges that secondary students face, those are very, very different than what students at the primary level and families at the primary level are contending with. We might have, a student who's K-5 who wants to get to school, and like that's an important part of their day, but they're reliant on the adults in their life, right? So when we're thinking about what are the challenges and the roadblocks that are preventing that from happening, it's really about how can we identify and support families in getting the resources and the supports that they need. And that could be anything, right? And so I think going back to the conversation that you were having with Keith a few minutes ago, it's really about people, right? Data and numbers, those are great, but it really boils down to knowing your families. And I think we have the privilege of being able to be in a smaller district where we know people, right? And especially for so many of us that have been here for a number of years, like we have those established connections. So it's really just about how can we continue to leverage that to work in our favor and to work for our students. So here on this slide, we can see a lot of the same things that were already highlighted this evening, really utilizing the attendance works materials. I know Rebecca and I include those on a very regular basis in our weekend updates that Colin and Michelle send out. So that's a similar kind of messaging that occurs throughout the district. So that's pretty much what I have tonight from K to 5. I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments.
Questions, just kind of reiterating what Elena had full said. I'm just curious, comparison to pre-COVID, you guys kind of maxed that level as well.
I know that Russell Street School, we are close. Beth was just pulling up that data a few minutes ago. It wasn't something that I went in specifically for this evening, but I'm happy to get that information out to you.
I'm just curious.
Okay,
Thank you.
yeah.
And then the other thing I was curious about is, so as students age up, right, all the schools are together. If you're kind of having students in both Shaker and Russell, how does that impact tardiness, right? In a perfect world, everyone plans for this and they've built enough time. Is that something you see as a current problem when you have students in both schools?
Are you referring to the start times?
Yes, so these terms, yeah.
I think like when that shift occurred, I think that definitely presented a unique set of challenges, perhaps that we weren't necessarily anticipating. I think both building administrative teams have worked very creatively to ensure that challenge isn't as challenging as perhaps it could be. I think we've been very strategic and really also partnered with DBus and also with Steve and Kelly to kind of problem solve as best as we're able within the structure of that time.
That's great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with all the interventions, and I remember when my kids were that age, transitions were always difficult.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
do you,
Even with the best of intentions, right?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, kids get busy doing something and you
Yeah,
can't move them
yeah.
on to the next step.
Yeah.
So is that something that you work on with, say, with counselors or anything, like families that are really having trouble with those transitions?
Yeah, like a perfect example would be I sat in on a meeting with a family a few years ago and really identified what the challenges were at home that were preventing the student to getting to school on time. And just really just like drilling down and identifying what those were, and then also working with other members within the building, guidance counselors and such that can really build in some of those habits and some of those routines. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
great, because that's when the habits are built, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
You know what I'm super curious about with the graduating class is like class rank as it relates to attendance rate. Not that I would expect it to be like perfectly linear.
Sure.
Because high performing students might have a medical or might have extended travel due to family or whatever, but as the postcard says, like you don't want to miss days, you don't want to get behind, and there's a learning,
We have seen an increase over the past couple of years of students who have taken like 4 or 5 AP classes, their parent calling in, like, hey, they need to see a day.
right.
And so it's like that thing too. impacts
Yeah.
kids. Or multiple college visits over the course of a year.
Sure, that type of stuff too.
I'm not sure if there's a direct correlation or not, but
The junior and senior year is really variable.
Yep.
Really variable.
absolutely.
Yeah, I used class rank as the example, but I was thinking like, it was during the K to 5 presentation, I'm thinking, oh, these people in there, the students earn like 1s, 2s, and 3s on their report cards. But GPA like stacked up against your attendance rate.
There are some districts that have a penalty, like a grade penalty. That's not something we have done yet.
Not suggesting that.
Correct.
Just sort of curious if my assumption is that the more you're in school, the better you'll do. If that was true.
I was showing Beth that this year we're at 97% present rate for the high school class.
Excellent.
Great.
That's great.
All right, we've got our third and final presentation this evening, which is a financial and budget update. Steve Mark, business manager, will provide a quick presentation.
Quick presentation, two reports in the packet. The first report on the screen is the current year FY 26. Same message, I guess, conveys here. We're not anticipating any budget issues this year. We don't anticipate any large unanticipated expenditures. We're working with Lynn Snow and her team and the students fraud and district tuition. We're watching our utilities. We do have a small concern about natural gas. It's going up everywhere, not, supply charges. So electricity is also affected by that. So we are watching that. We're not concerned at this point in time, but we are watching it. So glad to answer any questions on FY 26. The second report in the packet is our final report for FY 25 last year. You can see we spent out of a 26.3, almost a $26.4 million budget. We spent all except
0.2%.
52,000.
No, that's, how come that's not the right one? Hold on, hold on, there we go. Gotta look at the right, gotta advance the slide. We spent all except $52,000 of that $25.4 million budget. So a little over 1.2% is what we did not spend. By town finance committee policies, that remaining funds that were allocated automatically get reverted into the school stabilization fund to go toward both the Shaker Lane project and other potential projects. High school roof, for instance, is one we're all watching and thinking of. So sorry I didn't spend the other 52,000, but
It's all right.
That's awesome. that it goes to the
I think
school
we're in great
stabilization
shape. So
fund. Not every town does it that way.
yeah,
So
so
that's.
glad to answer questions.
So for the last year, what was in the category of other instruction that we overspent? Was that unexpected?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember what that is off the top of my head. It was probably some projects that we did that we put into that category with some of the savings that we had. We put it into might have been curriculum materials that we put it into.
Yeah, I mean, we still came in underneath overall, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Was wondering if that was a red flag.
Doing, as I mentioned before, elementary curriculum revisions are very expensive. And that's part of it.
Believe I know the answer to this question, but I'll ask it sort of just in the event that others aren't aware. Can you just explain the $1.8 million transfer out of special ed? Or $1.8 million adjustment?
Yep, we had some unanticipated savings within the special ed out of district tuition. Some students unexpectedly moved out of district, and so we were not responsible for those tuitions.
Okay.
That's a big chunk of it. It's not all of it, but that's a big chunk.
I thought you were gonna say it was some prepaid expenses for the prior year, and
Nope.
therefore we weren't recognizing them.
Nope, it's not prepaid.
Okay, that's substantial.
Then I'm just wondering, are there levers we can pull with the fuel costs? I mean, I assume you're doing everything you can do to mitigate it, but.
We are currently in a contract that expires at the end of November. We're looking into state contracts or other collaborative purchases where we can get, we buy collaboratively based off of multiple town combined estimated usage, and we go out, we negotiate with the gas suppliers for a lower rate, and we lock in usually for a 2 or 3 year commitment period. So we're just tracking that. We have to be careful with that. You can lock in and then the rates drop, and we're kind of still locked in. So we're monitoring that. So yeah, so we're doing everything we can to try to reduce those costs. Dave Riley, our energy manager, does an excellent job walking around the schools, checking energy consumption, looking for any savings we can do. We just participated in a Green Communities project over the summer where we weatherized some of the doors and things like that to stop the cold drafts coming in and the heat leakage and things like that. So, we're changing to LED bulbs, getting rid of fluorescence and incandescents when we can. Yeah, so we're doing lots of things to try to reduce that.
I also bring this up as kind of a callback, right? East Shaker Lane School, geothermal, help review, insulation, and so on, like it's another opportunity to save some money.
Yeah.
Steve, would it be fair to say that some of the $1.8 million savings that relates to special ed, we may have incurred costs in other line items by bringing those students back in districts such as transportation and busing and facilities and maintenance?
Yes, absolutely.
And staff.
And staff.
People too?
Yes.
Yeah, kidding. Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at those.
Yeah.
Yes, we also have a resident that's going to out of district agricultural school that's not Neshoba that we're responsible for because they want to be in a program that Neshoba doesn't offer.
Right.
So we're responsible for that tuition cost plus the transportation cost, and the transportation cost is about 5 times more than the tuition, but we're still responsible for it. So
the reason I asked the question is because last year we carried 1.67 for transportation and busing, and we actually ended up spending about 2.1.
yes, some of that.
No, sorry. Last year, last year we ended up spending 2.1. And then for this year's budget, we're carrying 1.8. So I was, for those at home that are paying attention, I'm thinking that because there was some savings associated with special ed, we had an increase in costs in some other line items, and it might wash one another out.
Correct. Our special ed costs did go up a little bit. Transportation costs. We also, because of the savings, we chose to spend some of those transportation costs using the available funds rather than the revolving fund that we collect fees with, so we can mitigate some of the future increases in the transportation costs through the revolving fund.
And sometimes what happens is when we're transporting students out of district, we may not be able to secure a case bus. If we have to use a private company, it's a lot more expensive, right? So those
We have a number of those.
factors that come into play. I believe in all the years I've been here, 14 and a half years, this is the fewest number of out-of-district placements that I've seen, which is pretty powerful. I don't want you to think that it's going to stay that way, because my experience is it's somewhat cyclical, and there will be an uptick of earnings at some point in time. We've been steadily decreasing for the last 5 years or so.
And those students that continue to remain out of district are typically extremely high need students that we cannot handle within the district at this point in time. And those costs go up and up and up every year. So does the transportation cost. Anyway.
Little off topic, but on the topic of money. So we spent a lot of time talking about the tennis courts. Tennis courts look great, project's done. I feel like we didn't spend a lot of time talking about the improvements that were going to be made at the baseball field. I mean, we did. It was part of the project, and we did. But I'm just noticing like what a wonderful facility that baseball complex is going to be. The fence is up. The
lights. Right?
Well, no, sorry.
This
So
is
this is
different
the
place?
this is the baseball diamond.
This is Whitcomb
different
Field, which is,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the lights. were-
No more correct.
Oh,
Yeah, so the
Sorry.
lights were a gift from Littleton Youth Baseball and Softball, and obviously that's great. But the other field that's really shaping up to be something spectacular is the baseball diamond in front of the Russell Street School.
Nice.
we can certainly come back with that
Was that-
presentation.
Was that project part of the same tennis court project?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
It's part of the same funding.
Yeah.
Went out to bid at the same time. It's being done by the same company, which is Cataldo.
Yeah, and the money that's spent on the baseball diamond was part of the tennis court money as well as one
It
project?
was
or-
combined as one project.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
CP.
so, I mean, a number of people see it, because if you're at Alumni Field or if you've got students at Russell Street, you're forced to see it, but it's really looking great.
Yeah, they
This is way better than what I thought we were
You
gonna.
want
Yes,
a
yes.
presentation about that?
I mean, we don't need one, but
They put
drive
in,
by, check it out.
they're putting in new higher fencing, backstopping, they're putting an outfield fence, they're putting in new dugouts, new batting
It's
cages.
really- It's really moving along. Looks
It's a
great.
beautiful field.
Yeah.
They're taking care of some of the drainage issues as well at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
In the corner of that field as well, so.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember spending so much time talking about the tennis courts. I'm like, oh, those look great. And then I'm like, holy baseball field.
Yeah, that project should be almost wrapping up. I think they still had I think the dugouts were in. I think they still had to finish the batting cages and some paving.
Yep.
And then some final seating and things
The
like
netting's
that.
going up on the batting cages.
Right.
Uh,
So that project, I think was scheduled to be done, I think the end of this week, but don't quote me on that. It's
Yeah.
very close to being done.
Really looks great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Thank you to Park and Rec and Tim Mahowski for all his efforts on, making all that happen.
This idea of like having an athletic complex, I mean, it's really shaping up.
Yeah. And that was,
Parking might be an issue.
that was
but-
part of that whole field study usage that, Park and Rec and Mike Lynn and some others looked at that resulted in the soccer fields at the, being put in at the high school and things like that. So,
All right,
thank you.
you got it. Sorry, I didn't mean to belabor all those points.
It's all right.
Approaching 9 o'clock. This is at 8 o'clock, we're supposed to hear second opportunity for citizens. It's now almost 9. Do we have anybody on Zoom that wishes to speak before the school committee? All right, we will then move into our subcommittee reports. This sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Surprise me. Does PMBC have a report this evening?
No.
Right, budget subcommittee's report is that we've got a pending, we've got another budget subcommittee coming up, which is yet to be finalized, but we'll get together and plan it in the near future. We're shooting for next week, is that right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex will reach out. I thought
I think you did reach out.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you're just waiting to hear back from me.
Yeah.
yeah, from a couple of people, because my schedule is tentative too, with some other things going on, so.
Then make sure that happens.
Yep.
Who's going to lead the discussion on the policy subcommittee this evening?
I can do that.
Perfect. Take it away.
I'm gonna, beg your pardon, we do a quick, how does this work? This is the first reading, and are we what decisions need to be made, and do we need to vote tonight, or do we just do a first reading, everybody takes it home, reads it, and then next meeting we vote on it?
We do a motion for first reading. Then
Okay,
we bring him back for a second reading, and that's when we make a motion and then become policy.
okay, and the second.
If there are
second-
changes, they become revised policy.
Okay, second reading is next week, it's next meeting.
Next meeting.
Next meeting, yes.
So
Cool.
no permanent issues until the second reading happens.
But this is the meeting where we make suggestions.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, so that's, so, and I can explain what we did. Because I was there, very excited. Okay, so the first policy, the safety policy, there were no changes. Overall, the policies, we reflect what the state language is for the most part. And if there was a question, often we fell back on what the state had stated about the different situations. So if there's questions, that's where we start. Yeah, so the second, the pest management policy,
Can you just give us a quick second to look at the policies? We've all read them, but just to look at them before we go through them.
sure, and so this is where we want to make suggestions on any changes.
Yes, or potentially maybe just talk about this policy.
Yeah, so the first one is the safety program, EB.
So I had it's not policy related, but it's and I mentioned it to Sean, so I don't mean to steal your thunder, perhaps you've already covered this. I'm not sure if it falls under the safety program, and it wouldn't make policy anyways, or emergency plans, but with Shaker Lane project on the mind, and as I've been visiting other towns for athletic events, what I've noticed that other towns have that we don't have is that they have the windows numbered for the door number. So from the outside of the building, you can identify which classroom it is. And that's not, would never make it into policy, but I do think that's something that the district ought to consider if we haven't already, but other districts are doing, and it seems wise.
Potentially wise, but there are some drawbacks of that too. If you have somebody targeting a certain classroom, it's very easy to locate. So
I
there's
understand
the
that.
flip side of it as well.
Yeah, it's something maybe we would want to have a conversation with our fire chief and our chief of police, maybe. Because I mean, I would think they might have different points of views. Our
Right.
fire chief might say, you know what, I also want to know how many in those classrooms, because if something happens, I want to go like, okay, 33, I need to get this many kids up. I don't know if there's,
We already have that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Police department.
I was gonna say, Justin handed this out meeting, like, raised this at the safety fair meeting, and there were people from police and fire there as well. They're both in agreement that, one, they have a roster of everyone's supposed to be there, and they kind of a layout of what the village was like, so as far as rescue operation, they already know kind of where it is. To the size of the buildings, isn't that big compared to other districts.
Okay.
And so it's a little easier to navigate. And then, so I think, like I said, they're concerned about people knowing exactly where people are, like
Mhm.
the outside. So that was, I feel like you can answer that, so that was kind of really great.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we have to think that way, but
Yeah.
Certainly.
as we all know, people that at times want to do harm, familiar with the community.
Sure.
And
So again, a little bit off topic, but I felt like it was on topic enough to mention it. I find that answer completely satisfactory. It's like one of the luxuries being in a small district. But it did leave me thinking like, geez, if other people are doing it, but as long as it's been addressed and everybody's weighed in and fire and police feel like they understand the buildings and first responders would know exactly where's what, that's totally fine with me.
Sorry, I should follow up with you.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Police and fire also do training in our buildings over the summers.
Yeah.
So they're already familiar with the wings and the room layouts and things like that from
They
being
also-
inside the building.
they also have access to our campus.
Cool.
Sides.
Okay.
Okay.
And they've been addressing blind spots as well.
Yes.
Not very many, but just, that's something we're going to do.
Awesome. Excellent to know. Are we good on safety program?
Yes.
All right. Next one is, I'm scrolling, it's just empty tonight. Next was pest management program, policy. There were, a couple of, I don't know if they were, not sure where the typos were, but, so the one that we added in our meeting was, under 2C. I don't think that the state is doing much in regard to second generation anticoagulant rodenticides, but there's a lot of scientific feedback that this is a huge problem for our environment. And if we can at the municipal level, put pressure on people who are making those decisions to choose against SGARs and to avoid them unless and I don't know why you would need to use them, but to avoid them and to just make it known as community leaders, we think that's something that you shouldn't use in our community and where we live, because it's nobody wants their pets to pick up an animal that's been killed like that. So that's why I added, or we agreed to add C.
Could you go back, Janine, to
Yes.
suggested change for section 2B?
Yes, which I was gonna cover both of these at the same time. So tonight, Steve, had brought up section 2B, which is, I don't believe has been changed in this material. But, Steve has suggested a change to read application of pesticides and herbicides is managed by the town DPW department should be scheduled when possible when students are not in school. Otherwise, fields are kept closed for a 24-hour period. And that would replace what's on in this document. And Steve, do I understand correctly that that's because the state's policy is what this is? Is that correct?
That's not necessarily state policy, it's what the town practice has been, and
Okay.
the product that they use and put down on our fields becomes, I'm not sure what the right technical term, but it basically becomes inactive and undangerous after a certain amount of time.
Okay, and this policy wording reflects that.
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. So this is more town. We are very much in line with the town when we use this.
Correct. The
suggested
town
time.
DPW is the one that manages our field, with Park and
Okay.
Rec manages our fields.
Awesome.
And,
Yes.
treats the fields, maintains the fields and things like that. So we're responsible for the notification to the school, students and staff when they're using particular product, and that's what we do.
Because it's not in what was written down, should I make a motion that we put this in, or can we just put this in and everybody
We can,
vote on
yeah,
it
we
next
can put
time?
it in and then, because we have a vote for the second reading now.
Okay, so we'll put that in for the second reading. And then for 2F, we all have another change that will put us more in line with the town. Instead of what's on there, the suggested changes in the event of an EPA registered pesticide or herbicide application in or around a building site during the school year or summer session, a notice must follow state notification as per the Mass Department of Agriculture Resources and DART guidelines, including the product name, purpose, contact person, and application date, time. And is to be posted on the school website. Notification to residents will follow state approved guidelines, which include mass robocall notification 48 hours prior to the application date. And this is a town procedure already in place.
That's a
So,
town procedure already in place, and also that follows the state notification guidelines.
okay, so yes, this change will put us in state and town, in line with the state and town policies as well. So I definitely recommend that we make those changes, and that's what we'll be voting on in our second choice. Does that make sense? Ms. Shaw?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Did you happen to know if we are currently using STARs in these curious, or if you have other towns locally that are doing that?
I haven't checked on our town. I don't believe we use SGARs, but the federal government does because they're around the post office.
Got it.
You can see the boxes. And so, it doesn't get it completely out of our community, but it's what we can do with our. And there's the typo is in section 4A, and keeping vegetation property. Actually, Alex, we need to change that word in front of cut. If you see on 4A, that last, it properly and not property.
Yes.
Yes. So if you'll make that change for the next time, please. And that, a lot of what we did was, why are those words like that? I think that's a typo. So we sorted through what should this have said?
I have a question about 1B of this policy about the integrated pest management program, involving a combination of tactics, cultural, mechanical, biological, chemical. So I'm bringing this up because I had an experience in a district I was working in where a swarm of honeybees left their hive, and which is what they do when they get overcrowded in a hive and they choose a new queen and they take off. Well, where they took off to was the swing set on an elementary school playground, and there was a lot of confusion about what to do about that. The highway department wanted to come with the pesticides and just get rid of them. And then I was the science district leader, so they come to me like, okay, science person, what do you think we should do? And I found a beekeeper to come collect the swarm and bring. So I don't know if, you know, what our integrated pest management program is like, if we get into those kinds of scenarios, or who is responsible for the pest management program.
So I am.
Okay, so there's an anecdote for you.
We do have to file and update every year, our pest management, plan, which is online. We have had instances with bees on school property. When we can, we remove the nest, or the hive and move it someplace. We hire a company to do that.
Okay.
If unfortunately, if a nest is like inside a building in a wall that gets in through a little hole, we have no choice but to try to spray those and dry them out of that, and then we seal those up so they can't come back. So we do everything to try to save the bee population and move those colonies when we can.
Okay, that's great. Just what I wanted to
Yep,
hear.
Yep,
Thank you.
and we don't use any pesticides within the school building. So if, for instance, this is not an issue, but if mice was an issue, right, we would put traps out and not poison to kill the mice. We would try to collect them and then take them someplace else. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thought of everything.
one of my many hats.
Yeah.
True.
So I believe the next policy is first aid. There were no changes from the existing policy in first aid. Emergency plans. Don't believe there were changes in emergency plans. So do you want to read for a minute and let me know if there's anything we want to change or question?
Yeah, so this is where the lockdown plans come in, right? Because I was looking for that in the safety plan, and then I realized that came under emergency plan.
The lockdown plans, the reunification plans.
Yeah.
Correct. Our communication systems, we use we have radios in all the schools.
It's good to think of that before it happens. Yes. Having these set up and having them set up so that everybody has the same thing written down.
And we just offered CPR and the AED training last spring.
Yeah.
For staff and our students in high school. It's the juniors, it's the training
Super.
every year.
That's brilliant.
Yep, we have lots of AEDs. We have portable AEDs for the athletic program and coaches. We have multiple AEDs in every building. We have AEDs at Alumni Field. We have a plethora of AED devices.
And LFD is incredible, providing instruction for us.
Oh, yeah. Well, those are so easy to use at this point.
Yeah, and we just bought a whole supply of stop the bleed kits. So we can make sure that those are also available within that same cabinet that the AEDs are in. So,
Those AEDs save lives.
yeah, they do.
Any questions on the emergency? Okay,
Should we just clean up
what do we need to clean?
9, speaking of the AED, so it's like in the event the school possesses the AED. We do,
Automated.
we have plenty of them. Should we just say AEDs? The location of all of, like, should we just remove the in the event the school possesses?
Just the AEDs the school possesses. So.
Yeah, just put
Yeah, or just
the location
the
of all
location
available
of
AEDs.
AEDs,
Okay.
whether fixed or portable, and a list of, yeah.
Personnel term.
Location of. Yeah,
Just
automated external.
wordsmith that.
Yeah.
That it's not like, if we have to have these, when we know we do.
Mhm. You make a note of that, Alex. I mean, I can get on the phone with you tomorrow and just. We'll look at it together. And it'll be. Yeah. That's easily changed.
Great.
We ready to go to emergency closings?
Your favorite topic, Kelly?
Oh.
I was just gonna read Coin Flip by Kelly Blanchett.
I don't think we made any changes in this. I don't,
No, we didn't.
Yeah. This is a policy that's been with us for quite a while, and it's, yeah, I think it's written
Yeah, it's
with enough
accurate.
flexibility.
I mean, one we don't talk about a lot that I have to think about is inability of teaching personnel to be able to make it to our schools if they live in Western Mass. So that's something I always have in mind too, in terms of how many people are in a different weather pattern.
Yeah.
That's where the decision.
Well, and that might have come into play during COVID too, where you might have had so many teachers sick that. Did you ever run into that?
Well, because we were virtual for a while, then we went to hybrid.
We never experienced it.
So we were
closure due to absenteeism.
Maybe better choices than district.
I mean, what typically happens in an area is your health prices increase, then your younger teachers live further away. That's so important. Usually that means going west.
Yeah, and they can be living where there's 3 feet of snow and we might have gotten a slight dusting, or
Yes.
that's a
Ashby,
tough one.
Northern.
Worcester, yeah. Yes. Natural occurrence or so. I think having the superintendent have oversight and the ability to make a call is actually important.
That's actually law.
Yeah, none of us would
I
like to
can't
take that
delegate.
over.
Yeah.
I think we should add whether or not Kelly was right or wrong on that. We should keep track.
You do it in collaboration with nearby superintendents, right? You
Well, and
have early morning.
yeah, I mean, I have DPWs collaborating. I always get a kick out of it because they phone me during the night, and it's really interesting to listen to what kind of music that they're playing when they're in the cab. Oh, they wake me.
It's not an easy decision.
No.
No,
No.
No, it's yeah, those snowstorms, yeah. I don't envy that call.
no.
No. You look at
People are wrong.
talk to people, you look at the weather maps, satellite,
Well, and then the weather just changes.
and sometimes,
Yeah.
we have different weather patterns in Middleton. There was a year where we had almost an M shape, and we were at the bottom of the V,
Mm-hmm.
and we were on that border. Half of Littleton was getting snow, the other half was getting rain.
No,
But it's better doing it in one community. I mean, I've had many communities that had different weather patterns and everything falls. And in those situations, I would shut down some schools and keep other schools open,
oh,
which was even harder.
that would be brutal.
Was.
Do we have any other questions about emergency closings? All right, let's walk into, so buildings and grounds management. I think we just were cleaning up, some typos and a gender comment just to make it a cleaner read. As you see there with what is blue is what we are gonna put in instead of scoot.
Yeah, the scoop.
I read that 4 times. I'm like, what? Why? He goes, Kelly is like, Janine, school. I'm like, oh, you're right. So those are the changes we recommend.
That looks good to me.
Buildings and grounds management. Let's see. All right, so passing through that, we have one more that is once again more just like language and typos. It is deemed in the best interest of the school department in town to protect the investment adequately. And then down at the bottom, we decided employment of security personnel was better than watchmen, which I don't, that was kind of like.
You'd like a higher.
That's still used, that term.
Is it? That feels so 1800s.
Fire departments.
The thing doesn't say chairman though.
Hmm?
I had to ask that. I had Dorothy fix those.
Yes.
Because they said
We got it.
chairman and vice chairman. I was like,
Okay, thank you. And then, let's see, so that was buildings and grounds, if we're good with that. Vandalism, we just had, it was more typos and gender switch up. Just to make it a cleaner read, a more inclusive read. I think we talked about it for a minute and realized that this is reflective of the town and the state policies that are around. Were there any questions about the last two?
No.
No.
I just want to acknowledge this, clearly you're a genius, so thank you for doing this, thank you very much.
Well, you know, it's good to get it done. I mean, my children were in school and there wasn't a policy about a couple things and it's better when there is, when something goes wrong. Just say it that way. I believe this is our next to last one, energy management conservation policy. This is more just language. And we'll provide information to because we were reading this, local media has just changed so drastically in the past 5 years. And so telling, like getting a hold of the Lowell Sun or a local TV station no longer really informs our public. So, we decided that changing it to say we'll provide information to the public as requested on the goals and progress of the energy. Because local media doesn't really seem to include our website, the town's
so
website.
energy management doesn't seem like breaking news.
Well, yeah.
Not even on slow days.
Yeah.
Right, the way that I read previously was like, it would be a requirement to provide this information to
Like,
the generic term local media.
yeah,
The requested change is as requested. So my assumption is that we're going to maintain these records and someone would have access to them if they wanted them. Is that what we mean by that?
yes, and we might choose to put them on our
On
website.
the website.
Could we change the policy to say that we will just post them to the website?
Do we want to lock ourselves in case in 5 years
We don't.
there's,
I mean, the
Well, we
reports.
review the policy every 5 years, so.
yeah,
I'm just,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, yeah, the thing that popped out to me is we're changing the emphasis of who's responsible for doing this, because
Yeah.
the way it did read was we will
push out.
we will push out the information, and now we're changing it to you're only gonna get it if you ask for it.
that's.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
maybe made my point more clear than I did.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And,
Well,
so-
our current practices exceed what the policy would be anyway. We post the information, Dave Riley, our energy manager, posts that information online with our energy savings and our energy initiatives that we're
So
undergoing.
do you see any problem with amending this to mirror our current practices?
So we'll post information on this school or town website,
On district website.
on the district website.
Yeah. We'll provide
Yeah.
information to the
I like
public
that.
on the district's website
Right, on the district's website, yeah.
Right, then people don't have to come to us and ask. for it.
about,
Yeah.
about the goals and progress of the energy conservation program. I mean, we're doing such a great job. We should
We want to
we
make
should
sure
take
that.
credit for it, right? We should,
Yes.
"Oh, we might do this." It's like, no, we are doing this, and
That's true.
that's policy.
Open can comment. So
And our energy manager is incredible. He'll go through every classroom and every space on a weekend, and if they're not meeting our expectations, there'll be sticky notes all over, and he's just incredible.
He's a former math teacher in the
Yes,
district,
he
right?
is.
It's sad.
Yeah, he's been in the district, I think, for, I want to say 47 years now.
He retired.
Now he retired before there was a.
Yeah.
So he looks for all the hidden refrigerators and the.
Yeah. He was a favorite teacher.
We have that, Alex? Thank you. All right, we will add that for next read. Energy management conservation policy. Is there anything else in this policy we want to drill down on?
I'm good.
And then I did the last one. Woo-hoo. Authorized use of school-owned materials and equipment. There were no changes to this. It's a standard. Is this the one we had a question though, that we so our in town departments, community, therefore permission to use school equipment granted.
I have a question about this. So not so much a policy, but more about the topic in general. So the school committee wishes to give assistance wherever possible to other town departments and community organizations. And then it talks about equipment. Does facilities fall under this same policy? So it's like there are organizations that use the gymnasiums.
No, just materials and equipment.
Okay, so there's a separate policy for the use of facilities.
I think this is
Yes.
our policy.
Yeah, there is. We talked about it.
So then I'll ask my facilities question as it relates to the equipment. If someone wanted to, let's say equipment, they wanted to say, I'd like to borrow a bunch of video equipment from the school because I'm doing a project or something, would school be amenable to that? Do we have like a rental fee guideline, or how does one borrow equipment or materials?
I think the only, it's interesting, I've never had that request, but if we were to get rid of equipment, we have to offer it to the town.
No, but this
Okay.
is
So,
use.
For example, computers, when we were using MacBooks or MacBook Airs, there was always an opportunity to trade them in and get a discount. We were replacing, by law, we really have to offer that to town departments first. And they don't want Macs, they're PC people anyway. But if we had a vehicle, which we don't have, there, and we decided to put it in the field, so to speak, we would offer it to the town.
Yeah, Kelly, there was a conversation about charging groups or whomever was using the equipment, and we went over because it was like there was no there will be a charge for this and there will be a charge for that specific, and we were worried about that.
And I look at this policy more if we had Park and Rec wanting to offer a program in
Yeah,
our schools, and they needed
wanted to use it
15
all.
Chromebooks to do it.
Yeah, so it doesn't say the general public.
Right, I mean, it's
It
this is
says
the first.
community
sentence.
organization.
Yeah, right.
Correct, so if for instance, we rent our theater out to outside groups, dance groups, cultural events. They pay a rental fee for the facility. If they then want to use our equipment, there are additional charges for using the sound equipment. For if they want to rent their cafeteria for a presentation and they need a projector and a screen, there are rental charges that we charge those groups for that. I
Okay,
think that's what this is specifically talking about.
That's a better
And we have those fees established in our rental policy,
okay,
rental guidelines that we offer to the public.
sure. And just like the school committee has recently evaluated the busing fee and the athletic fee, does that fall under the purview of school committee review, the rental fees that we charge for this stuff, or is that operational?
I think it's,
Go ahead.
I think it's more operational.
We would come to you with, you know, out of courtesy, obviously, if we were gonna do a substantial increase. But this is pretty minimal. Bus fees involve
Nearly everybody,
community. So that would make sense. The fee should be set, athletic fees, for example, should cover the school. There's other smaller stuff that it's usually just operational.
Sure.
Yeah, the general public can't call up and say, hey, can I rent a school van or can I rent a laptop or something? That's not what we do. We're, you know, so if they need a laptop and a projector because they're making a presentation or renting the gym and they don't have the equipment, things like that, then we offer that as an add-on, but it's not guaranteed that we're going to be able to provide a projector or a laptop to a certain group or something.
Maybe the budget subcommittee would just review that information.
No, sure we can.
In my humble opinion, it's less important what the numbers are that are being charged and more important that there is one policy for everybody who comes to use it, that we don't pick and choose how much we're gonna charge each different group.
Okay.
Like one group comes in and we this and another group it's like this. That doesn't happen. Does that make sense? It's like what the numbers are, I'm not all that concerned about. I'm concerned about overall fairness.
Consistency.
Consistency, thank you. Yes.
Do we need to define what a community organization is? In the first sentence, do we have a common understanding of that?
I mean, we do, I do.
I mean, it's a pretty
Oh.
loose term.
Yeah.
It is, but
Like, to give an example of Park and Rec. I mean, that's really more of a town department.
Right.
But it's a community organization,
Oh, it could be, because if we go back to Park and Rec, that's a good example, because most of the athletic community groups are not Park and Rec. They're not.
So like Littleton Youth Baseball would be a community
Right,
organization.
so,
the Boy Scouts be a community organization.
yeah, the only reservation I have is, it's nice to not restrict yourself so that you're not having to rewrite a policy. If we didn't capture everybody.
Yeah, I'm not saying that we would write it, but it would be good to have a common understanding about what that means.
Yeah.
You know, is it
because like
a group that's registered with the town?
Well,
or I mean, do you wanna restrict us that much even, you know?
I mean, an example would be our robotics club. I mean, they used to be with us. And then they expanded, so I would still consider them to be a school community group.
The PTO, CPAC, those events that support school programs.
Right.
If they're using one of our conference rooms and they need a projector or TV,
Scouts.
that's included. We don't say, well, there's a rental fee for it, right? So,
So I don't see any.
You haven't had trouble with the.
I haven't had any.
this has not been an issue.
Sure.
Having some play in that is.
Yeah, all good. We're like getting into the weeds on policy, which we should be doing, so it's
Yep.
fine. Apologize we're here late.
Yeah.
I suppose maybe if you haven't had an issue, if it's not broken, I'll fix it. You know,
If there is an issue, we bring.
should situation change, you could certainly, bring these policies back to the school committee to have them revised if you need assistance on determining what's applicable and what's not.
Sure.
Fair enough?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
So that's the last one. Those are the policies that have been
Jeanine?
reviewed and revised. Yes.
I realized what you were saying earlier. I omitted a policy from the packet. The one we went over was use of school facilities.
Ah,
We made an addition.
ah,
I did the work, I just didn't put it in the packet. If I email it to everyone, can we read it now?
I did remember.
Or we can,
I wasn't
you
crazy.
can throw it in the next batch of policies. for-
Yeah, we can throw it in the next batch.
Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry about that.
That's it. No, thank you, because I'm like, am I crazy?
Oh, you thought there was another one and there was,
No, but there's a whole conversation
oh,
that I just brought up. It was about that policy that was dropped out, and that's why I'm sitting here going, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's on-
No.
It's on the agenda. Why don't we take 2 minutes to just look at it? Otherwise, that'll end up spilling over to a third meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
so you're
Okay,
gonna email it to us?
EDA,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's EDH, which you can just go to by clicking the hyperlink
Which is,
in the agenda.
yeah. Okay.
I also just emailed it to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is kind of the question I was talking about, these facilities.
Yeah, and that's the one where there was this whole conversation that I was referring to, and Kelly's looking at me like, what's crazy?
Oh, I didn't look at you like that.
It's EBH, use of school facilities. There we are.
And we added number 7.
We added 7 as,
We added a new bullet point called number 7, then we're gonna go over it. I emailed it to you, if you, unless you want me to read it.
So there's
a number
7.
7 currently posted to the web.
Yeah, so we added a 7 and moved the 7 down to 8.
Okay, so that, then I don't have
I don't
the,
have
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, that's the, so I didn't put that in the packet, but I just emailed it to you.
Oh,
If you guys-
okay.
unless you want
Okay, I
me to read it as well.
Yeah,
I'll pull it up on the screen.
oh, I see.
all right.
There we are.
Now we're on. Oh.
It's on the screen if you can see the screen.
This is Zachary.
These-
This is.
These are questions we just asked.
Yeah.
We were on the right track.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm like,
Um,
no,
wait.
we've talked about this.
Yeah,
Yes.
That was in the back of my mind. I just wasn't sure when we talked about it.
Yeah, well, Okay, so yeah, we did add this, all decisions regarding fee structure, fee waivers, or alternative payment schedules are at the discretion of district leadership. So this is to give us flexibility for to take care of things without stopping everything in its tracks. So to keep things moving, but to also like have a guide, say there is a guideline here. So in after discussion, we decided to go with more flexibility rather than less. And that's what was reflected here.
So number 5, is basically saying that it makes a difference if the building is already open, because that would result in a lower fee because you wouldn't be opening it for the group that's renting.
Correct, so for instance, if a group is using a classroom during the school week, Monday to Friday, we have custodial staff already on board. If they're using it on a weekend, we have to bring custodial staff in, pay them overtime to come in to manage that function.
And that's all reflected in what the group gets charged.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only exception to that is if we had a community basketball tournament at night, we would have to bring more custodians in normally,
Right.
so there'd be a charge.
Well, this was the missing link.
Oh, I'm glad you threw this in here, Alex. I feel a little less crazy.
Yeah, and we can still count this as the first read because it was in the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yes,
Nice.
it's in the agenda. Now we're doing it. It's good. So yes, and this is the one where there was a bit of a discussion. Do we have a policy in place that creates a structure that will be fair, but still gives leadership the flexibility to work with other groups without coming back to us for every little thing? Like I said, I'm not too worried about the numbers themselves. I'm worried about
No.
fairness throughout the whole process.
And policies aren't specific.
Mhm.
procedures are operating.
So I'm just wondering about 3 and so yeah, 3 and 4. So it's if that's contradictory. So Littleton citizens and organizations still have the first preference for the use, but then we go on to say application shall not be granted for personal or family use. So should 3 really just say Littleton organizations?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Well-
A citizen, like we're residents of Littleton, I don't know, Littleton citizens seems unnecessary.
Well, residents, I mean, it giving precedence to residents who are leading a group is how I read that.
Okay.
Is like, by saying number 4, it's like, you can't rent it for a birthday party. But if a resident is a leader in
An organization,
an
a neighboring town
organization,
wishes to have an event.
or a group, you know, a go joint,
Joint,
an organization that has joint membership. They want to come in, the robotics, there's a robotics, a robotics club that includes someone from the Littleton, but it has other people in other communities. That would be something we would consider, partly because it's being led by someone from Littleton and they're gonna come in, you know, that kind of thing. Well, I think that's how I read it.
If it's an outside organization wanting to use our facilities, we usually ask that the majority of the participants are Littleton residents.
Mhm.
So if it's a joint group between, say, Westford and Littleton,
Mhm.
and they want to use our facilities,
Mhm.
and it's on a case-by-case basis.
Mhm.
We usually want to make sure that it's a true benefit to Littleton residents.
Mhm.
So if it's a Westford program, and they have 40 kids on a team, but only 3 kids are from Littleton, it's not really benefiting Littleton residents, it's benefiting more Westford. And so we've denied sometimes the use of alumni field or something like that,
Mhm.
because they only have 2 kids from Littleton on the
Mhm.
team, and we usually we can ask for those rosters and things like that. So it's kind of very on a case by case basis, to be honest with you. We try to be fair.
So
So that's why I mean, I'm good with Littleton citizens. I think I see what that means, you know, you want.
Yeah, I'm not, it's not hill I'm gonna die on.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Some like well, not like overshare, but Acton Boxborough charges a very high rate for the use of their gymnasium space for Acton youth basketball. So I was thinking about the community assets that we have in town, like such as Alumni Field. Wonderful asset. There's a game almost like the lights are on almost every night for something, but there are a few instances where they're not on. And I was just wondering if, as a district, we wanted to proactively rent that space at market rate to increase revenues to offset taxpayer burden on the cost of maintaining the
You talking
field.
about the new Jets field?
Oh, and-
No,
and any
alumni, he's talking about
I mean,
alumni.
alumni,
field.
yeah. gymnasiums.
So, yeah, I mean,
There-
we don't need it for practice.
I'll be honest, there's very little time.
I know
Within the
there is.
schedule.
I'm always like, what can I go to
There is
tonight?
very little time within the schedule, both within the gyms and alumni field, that are not being used by Littleton organizations. Are there some times? Yes, there are, but they're very far and few between, to be honest with you.
I think if we found that there was a spill out from one of those communities, then we would come to you, you know, and have a conversation about, you know, maybe we need to consider a different restructure.
The only thing I'm thinking, I agree with like the Tom Russ guy, but I also feel like there's also like breaking out dates like that, so you need a little bit of flexibility.
You do.
I don't wanna give that away just and then have it be that we're getting so much money, so we won't give it back to you. That's my.
Right.
We create a lot of conflict if you're
Yeah.
not careful.
We have worked with other towns who have called us and said, hey, their football field is being renovated. you know, it's a 2-month process. Can they borrow our field or rent our field for that time period? And we have done agreements with others to allow that.
Mhm.
But it's, again, it's case by case basis. It's not that often. We're very protective of who uses the fields, because we want to reserve that for Littleton organizations and programs.
Right.
Oh, their liability.
And our rates aren't cheap. I mean, I forgot what it is. Alumni Field is $150 an hour with a minimum 4 hours or something like that. I mean, that's not something, you know, it's.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, often when you hear communities pitching like a turf field project, oftentimes they'll say like, you know, oh, well, there'll be extra hours and we'll rent the space and we'll make money back and it'll cover some of the debt service associated with it. And I was just thinking, you know, proactive planning, like if we ever wanted to turf a field at the high school for increased playability, perhaps evaluating our usage of the current rental agreements with the facilities we currently have could long-term build a nest egg to continue to invest in our fields.
Yeah, I think in that particular case, if there was a second turf field in Littleton that would relieve some of the pressure on the current use of Alumni Field,
Right.
you could get into that model where you would have some availability.
Yeah.
We have rented the field out over the summer to some soccer clinics and things like football clinics and things like that from outside organizations that pay market rate
Sure.
for it. So we do take those monies, we put them in the revolving fund, and some of those we set aside in a subgroup for long-term field maintenance and replacement of the carpet when that time comes. It won't cover all of it, but yeah.
That the high school theater.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah.
So the only
If you're advocating for a second turf field, I support it.
what I'm advocating for is making good business decisions related to the current facilities that we have. So if there was a way to generate some revenue and have it not impact Littleton citizens or Littleton programs, and over the next 5 to 7 years, we could put some money aside to either, you know, offset the maintenance costs associated with the current facilities or to invest in other facilities, I would be all for that. But maybe it's not related to the policy, it's kind of a larger discussion.
Right, and to some extent, we do that.
We do.
The facility that gets rented out the most, quick aside, is the theater, the
And I know.
Performing Arts Center.
And we have to continuously pump money back into
And
the
we are
seating and the
continually-
lighting and the sound.
Correct, and that
yes.
comes from the revenue that's generated
Yeah.
from that, and that benefits the high school students directly with play productions and performances and theater productions, and helps keep those ticket prices low.
And I do think we do a good job with that because I've been to many other auditoriums in other districts and they get neglected. It's rows are sectioned off because seats don't function and
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
So
Brian O'Neill is our theater manager, former high school student, now works in the business. He works on Disney projects and big name singer projects and things like that, doing theater things. He manages our theater and is right on top of the equipment, and we have not the latest greatest, but it's up-to-date equipment that's not broken, that all works, that all functions. We're in the current process of replacing a lot of the stage lights and the theater lights to more high efficient lights as well. So
Brilliant.
So my last question on this one is, in this policy, we refer to the schools 2 different ways, really. We say the school department, and then other places we say the school business office. Should we just use the school business office throughout this entire policy so that it's more clear as to that this falls under the school business manager's responsibility?
no, I would leave it because if for some reason the superintendent gets involved in something, he has the authority to make that decision as well.
And those are 2 different things, I think. The school department is different than the school business office.
They are, that, the school department, I
They're
think,
different
is,
entities.
it doesn't name the
Other-
superintendent, it just names
The school
like
department.
generically the school department, so it's like,
I mean, maybe that's the distinction. Maybe we should say superintendent instead of school department. So that then that shows the difference between superintendent and school business office.
Well, if someone in the school department,
I would do that.
this is blessing
what
to
if we
handle
said
something.
school department leadership? Or something like that, like,
Well, I mean, the only place we're talking about school department is whether something's getting canceled
Right.
or approved, which really would be the superintendent's call, right?
There's always a process, the last one of mine, so.
that's, I
don't have an issue.
I bring it up
with
for
that.
discussion, if no one else
Yeah.
sees.
Oh, we can even use
The
school
difference.
department personnel.
Yeah, because I see, I mean, the school department is the group under Kelly, Kelly is manager. And if he decides a member needs to just can handle something, I'm good with, like, I don't need to get into that.
Wings.
It comes back to the superintendent, but it doesn't have to be the superintendent personally. Does that make sense?
I guess that's up to you, Kelly.
I'm just wondering if what we mean by the school department is the superintendent.
No, I think we mean the superintendent and his and their staff.
Yeah,
The superintendent's staff is included in the school department. In
Let's use
my
Beth-
reading.
Let's use Beth as an example. As part of the school department, does Beth,
And Beth's like,
does
what?
Beth reserve the right to deny the use of school facility, or is that really Kelly's call?
Well,
That's Kelly's call.
but
Beth?
if Kelly is
In it-
unavailable,
in the
Beth
end.
can take it
Or
and
you
run
could
with
say
it.
superintendent or designate.
I mean, what really happens here is that Steve and the principal take care of those matters, if there's somebody.
They let Kelly know what they did.
Yeah, and if
This
there's
way.
somebody
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
unhappy with them, then they eventually make it to me, and,
I think all I'm suggesting is, let's just say what we actually do.
I thought I feel like that is what that says.
This is not like a personal reflection of the work you've done on this, I'm just
Oh, no.
noticing that we're like, generically, the school department reserves the right to deny the use, so,
So how about the superintendent or designate?
perfect.
Okay, sure.
that
Hey,
covers,
right,
that covers everything.
Does that work?
There you go.
That does, yeah.
'Cause I think we gotta put it on somebody, not just the organization.
Okay.
And then other places where we reference the school business office.
That deals more with the process.
Yeah,
Yeah,
somebody
that's-
can then easily identify that you are the school business manager, so they would know to contact you about that.
Right.
Yep.
That's all I'm trying to do is if someone,
Yeah, I get it.
if someone has a question about facility usage, where does the buck stop?
Yeah.
So we can just make that note for the second reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhere it says school department is
Yep.
superintendent or designate.
Designate.
Okay.
What is that, Latin?
Okay. Well, fine with that.
I
World
would
language,
know.
designate is Latin.
I believe so.
I do, yeah, it is.
We'll check it out. We'll check it out.
All right. Good.
And it sounds great. So that is the last of the policies and that we will
And
return to next meeting.
So this is my favorite part. We have to.
thank you to Janine and Vino for, keeping the, policy work alive. Absolutely.
If there's somebody who wants to make the motion, they get to read all the letters. It's so funny.
So I move that we accept the following policies
Real quick.
for the first reading.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, okay, you're ready for the motion?
Yeah, discussion is now closed.
Okay, so I move that we accept the following policies for the first reading. EB, EBAB, EBB, EBC, EBCD, EBH, EC, ECA, ECAC, ECF, and EDC.
Then the motion is to accept
To
them
accept
as,
First reading.
As first reading, yeah.
as first reading with the inclusive of the proposed edits this evening.
Yes, inclusive of the proposed edits this evening.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Any other new business or old business before the school committee?
Just the Shaker Lane up. We have to, it's really quick.
Sure.
No, nothing between us and the door. We have started to break out into subcommittees, and I am chairing the first committee that's picking up contractor, so we've been able to meet the Wednesday after the vote, if I can afford with that. That's really not.
Exciting.
The same arborist.
Thank you.
It's exciting to be thinking about life after the vote.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really is.
Super excited.
All right, so before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I'll announce that our next school committee meeting is November 6th, 2025, 7 o'clock, Littleton Police Station. But we will see everyone in attendance Tuesday night at town meeting.
Justin will be watching.
Eyes on the door.
Counting the people,
Taking
notes.
Or motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second, and all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have adjourned.